that is necessary from Universal Creator. And we find that no matter where we find ourselves, these families that we're with may not be the best people, simply because you're born into a family, it might have been an enemy family, that you had to come back in because you misused that person so much that you drew them, because whatever you love or hate, that's what you draw to you. Think about that. Not what you love. Whatever you love or hate, you have to think about. And if you hate it, it must mean it's so important to you that it's a burning desire. That's what you're drawing to you. This is why they tell you before, be careful about what you wish for. Be careful about what you think. Why? Because thoughts are things. We say that. How many of you said before in your own time, thoughts are things? How many of you ever said that? Do you understand what you said? If a thing is a physical substance and it started from a thought, it means you are now a creator. And it means you just created whatever it is you're thinking about. How many, don't you answer this because you might get shamed. How many of you think evil thoughts all day long, you walk around mad, pissed off, and everything else again, as a general rule? You just can't stand things. Wish they would change. That means most of your thoughts are what? Low, vibrant, hateful thoughts. What do you think you're going to draw to you? Low, vibrant, hateful things. We say, well, look, I'm not a masochist, I'm not a hypocrite either. If things aren't good, I'm going to tell you. Great. But if you keep telling me about the things that are bad, how will I ever find the things that are good? And I don't want to hear about your bad things. I got enough of my own. I'm trying to change it. This is why we have churches. This is why we have psychologists. This is why we have Darron and Imhotep, all these kind of drugs to escape with. All right, I'm sorry. Ayahuasca. That's a better one. That's just a herbal that makes you drunk. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that either. We're always escaping from the factory that manufactures anything you want. In that pineal pituitary gland up there. The pineal gland is your master gland. They don't teach you that in school. They teach you what? The pituitary gland. It's the biggest lie ever told. The pineal gland is your gland that lets you adapt to anything on this planet because it secretes melanin, which is the best adaptogen. It is blue-green. It is a blue person. It is a green person. It is the thing that gives you life. The pituitary gland simply follows out the orders and tells all your cells and your organs to manufacture these different hormones and stuff so you can become that. The hormone factory are your drugs. That's your herbal. That's everything else you can think of. You got it right up here, the best one ever made. But when we don't use it, it goes haywire, or when we use any kind of these so-called pharmaceutical, I don't even know pharmacology again, now we're taking away from our own selves. What am I saying to you again? You are the creator. You are not the universal prime creator. You are creation. Within you, things are created. When we couple together, we make creations in the form of children. But each cell in your body is coupling with another cell based on the area that it's on. If it's a digestive thing, if it's a reproductive thing, if it's a breathing thing, all of these things are working in unison to make this overall body that your soul came into function. Some things are done anatomically. Why? Because if you had to think about them, we might forget to think. We might forget, we do. We might forget to breathe. We might forget to have a heartbeat. So these things are done, but the God of that system is you. Here are 75 trillion cells plus everything in between them that you're responsible for, and you're worried about what somebody else is doing. If your own creation is down, you are not a good God. In fact, that creation will take you under because these cells are no longer listening to you because you haven't talked to them in so long. They're now taking you over. They're becoming free radicals and cancers. And then we take in more things to give them more power, except the power we want. We eat all the bad foods, drink all the bad water, do in the booze. Tomorrow we're going to stop, but today it's going to taste good. As long as you do that, you're never taking over your own system at a time when you're on a cell that needs you to be at your highest because the cell is changing and you are part of that cell. You are the mitochondria. A bad cell on this planet is any community that is not acting in turn with the universal creative laws. A bad cell in your body you call a cancer cell. If you're doing that, you are cancer to this planet. And they're going to eliminate you. Now you say, well then, if that's the case, what about poor Haiti? I say, what about poor Somalia? You say, well, what about poor Biafra? I say, tell the Hutsis and Tutsis and Rwandas and so like this about themselves. They're killing each other. So if somebody else kills you, what you're already doing, they're only emulating your thoughts. Now, if you're from Africa, tell those Africans to stop doing it to themselves. What about the gangbangers out here on the street trying to get some dope and drug, kill your mama, you, and their daddies for dope? Who told them to do that? The daddy and the mama? Maybe, if they were high when they conceived. Do you see what I'm trying to tell you? Don't look outside of anything but yourself to start to change. Michael Jackson said it. Michael Jackson was so mixed up, he was beautiful, because he attempted in the mind to do physically what his mind was telling him. He wanted to be all races. He had creation for every race on earth. You know why they killed him? Because his tour would have united this planet. And they would have come out. They wouldn't ask you how old. They wouldn't ask you what sex. They wouldn't ask you what you spoke. He spoke the language of love and music and awakening. That's why they killed him, because he was about to unite the planet. Music can do more for people who don't have rhythm than people that have rhythm who misuse the music. Huh? Huh? I didn't hear you. If you doubt that, look at Strawberry. I'm sorry, Janet Jackson, is that his sister or something? Look at Sasha Fierce. Sasha Fierce? Is that Beyonce? What's this other thing that this guy said go out and get? It's a mixture of lemon and cognac. Some P. Diddy, or what's his name? Oh, that was his name, P. Diddy? You're allowed if you drink that. No, that's not what I meant, is it? Let's go back with some of these people. They have a government name, and they have a stage name, and then they tell you, whatever I say on this one, I can get low with this one because that's not marrying me. Why make the record? Why make the tape? Why influence the young minds and old minds? Why make money doing something you shouldn't do? Yes, they have money, but they're losing their soul because of the money. So they can't, to take that with them, that's their alter ego. Now they got Lady Gaga. And now they got Pink. She swings through the air with the greatest of please. Oh no, because you can look right up her stuff, and they show you all the stuff they got. Don't they? All of these are keeping you from graduating to a higher consciousness put out by the music industry controlled by Dracons and Reptoids. Get that through your picture. There ain't no good Reptoid in Dracon. They know they can reach you through music and rhythm. They know they can reach you through sex. They know they can reach you through food. So what do? Present you with the lowest of all of it so that you continue to lower yourself, because when you lower your mind, you lower your body. And when your body is low, it's going to begin to disintegrate, it's going to give you pain, and then all your time is going to be spent on the body instead of the higher consciousness which the planet is going to. That's why they're giving you all the food. There is no such thing as global warming. There is no such thing as global freezing. The globe is yours. It's who is in charge of it that is now manipulating the weather, manipulating your food, manipulating the air you breathe through chemtrails, manipulating your thoughts through mind control and so on like this, manipulating your brain through your radiation and fields by using these cell phones and computers, manipulating everything you do to stop you from coming into consciousness and getting rid of them by just saying one thing. I am not going to talk it, I'm going to walk it. I am with the Creator, I am part of the Creator, nothing bad can happen to me. I'm not going to spend time to change tomorrow, I'm going to make that change in the mirror tonight. When you begin to do this, you're now in tune with the planet. The movies are only bringing out different aspects of what the planet is doing. Some of these movies are put out by good guys. Some of these movies are put out by not so good guys. Some of these movies are put out by bad guys. But as long as you go to them, they're going to influence you. The easiest way to influence the brain is through a picture. What does it say? A picture is what? Worth 1,000 words. One symbol is worth 1 billion pictures. Because one symbol will lock into it everything that the planet is trying to teach you. That's why we now have crop circles everywhere. Crop circles are from the 4th and 5th dimension entities who are trying to get you ready for graduation day. Those crop circles made by Doug and Dave, the plowmen, on walking on shoes at night, are stupid, because that's not the crop circle. Those things are so, that is sacred geometry. And each of those opens up a portal. And that portal goes up into the air as far as there are elements, because each one is creating an element in that circle, which means that now is a portal that's open. And that means that area around there is being influenced as they're trying to affect humanity to make them make that change. You now have medallions, you now have symbols. All of those things are only for one reason, to give you a picture of the consciousness of the universal creator, seen in a way you see on the physical plane, so they have to make it three-dimensional. They have to make you think that it's real. Everything in your mind is locked with a picture. I got through school, I'm not going to say that, but when I was going to school, he said, man, how can you remember all these things? How can you do this? I had a secret. I learned that secret a long time ago. I operate on too low a vibration. And my brain has components that are waiting to be tapped into, but they're operating on a frequency that I have not been taught to use. So I found out a certain thing. There was a tape that a man gave me a long time ago. These people come up with me as accidents that happen in my life, which means it's really not an accident. Things happen in your life when you're ready for them. If you sense them and see them, you work with them. This particular guy showed me, he said, you know, everything here is slowed down. I said, yeah, I can dig that. He said, well, think about that. I said, yeah, so what are you trying to say, boss? Get to the point. He said, everything here is moving too slow. And you have different components of the brain that want to be moved faster, and you can't access it till you speed up because they're working on higher vibrational rates. I said, that's cool. He said, okay. He said, you hear about Beethoven and Haydn, both black men. You know that, right? That went out into the woods like Dr. King, and it's like the brother there that made Tuskegee Institute, Carver, or, you know, the peanut butter man, right? Only thing every bit was peanut butter, huh? Yeah, all right. Once they get into this higher consciousness, they become creators. And then they manifest through music and technology that comes from the mind, which means that the mind was greater than the creation, but we only had to put it on a physical plane because that's as much as we could understand, because we forgot we're gods and are already part of creation, so now we have to recreate it on a physical plane. So he simply said this: if you take the sound of birds, cacophony, in a forest, all going crazy, and you speed it up, you slow it down 7 times, it's a symphony. And the birds not only have choruses, black birds, brown birds, red birds, blue birds, whatever you want, they're all singing, and the very trees are giving off a vibration. It's a symphony, it's a concert of sound going on. And when you slow it down, you can hear it. I slowed it down, I went crazy. Well, I'm sorry, he said I never came back, but I went there that time. And I said, this is music. This is something else. So then, something said, an inspiration came, said, sleep on it. Anytime you want an answer, go to sleep. Don't go to sleep high and in pain and angry, and I'm going to sleep while I kill your butt. No, that's not. Go to sleep in peacefulness. That you're going on a journey because each night you go to sleep, you die. But you come back because you have something to learn. Go to sleep with it all in your mind, and 3 days' time you'll have an answer. You don't have to go to any minister, to a psychologist, to me, anybody. Go within. Because everything you want is already on the path you were given. So what did he show me again with this one of mine? I began to use that to get school. And I can talk about it now. They couldn't answer. They accused me of cheating on tests. I did cheat on tests because I could tell them what they were going to test because I'd already been where they were. But I used my mind and the Creator's mind. And I had to make mistakes sometimes because they knew, people say, photographic minds. That's why I can remember all these things, because it's photographed in my brain. And that's what they don't teach you to use. They teach you to be dependent on writing things down, or recording it, or texting it. Think it. Thoughts of things is the fastest means of communication for you and the Creator and the cosmos. So, once I did that, I would read a book, chapter by chapter, word by word, slow. And I'd read it into a microphone, and I'd put it on a tape. At that time, they had these old cassette tapes. Don't say anything, because I still have some on cassette tapes, and I hope you buy them. Now, once I did that, I took it on a tape recorder, and I sped that up, fast forwarding. Listen to me closely. I'm giving you something I used to spend $350 a session for, and I'm not lying. It's the way I got through school. I taught people how to do this. You speed that up. Then you take that speeded up version, and you put it back on another one. And you speed it up. And you do it 6 times. If you play it back and you can understand it, you'll never learn. But if it goes through and you play it back, That meant all those words were speeded up so you couldn't understand them. Once you got past the logical brain, you access the universal mind, which goes in tones. That's why they tell you thoughts of things, and the music of the spirit is there. If you can understand it as a word, you're slowly in vibration. When it goes as a musical hymn or something, now you speed it up. And if you can make sense out of it, it means that you're still mortal and you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. You're going too slow. When you go fast like that, you can remember everything word by word. All you have to do is lock it in with a picture. This is why they tell you a picture's worth 1,000 words. Wherever you lock that tape in, you photograph in your mind something that you can't forget. Good sex, good food, good travel, lots of money. You tag it with a picture you can't forget, and then when you want to remember it, you think about that picture. That's what crop circles and medallions are. That's what they're trying to tell you holograms are. That locks in the universal mind, and that picture will come to you when you see that particular picture in your mind. So what did I do? Came time for the test. I had not worked on the history or mystery. Because I always says his mind is a mystery, his is a history, so I got to remember all he told me and then forget it once I pass the test. With all that, I knew what that was. I went to that part. I just went through the thing on going through the questions because everything on that page I could see in my mind. Why? Because my right brain had been so rusty, it was anxious to show me it was there. As I said, you forgot about me. When I remembered it, everything I wanted was locked in that right brain. I reached it with a hologram picture, and it all came back to me. And don't give me some keywords on that test too. Oh, I can tell them more about the people that wrote it than they could. Why? Not because I'm a genius. I use universal laws and not mankind's laws. I use the things that do work and not the things he hopes will work. His test was a foolish thing in the first place, and I wanted to treat it foolishly so I could get on to study what I wanted. That's when I said, I know I can't go into that school system because I don't believe in them. They're not going to give me tenure. And that's when I said I had to start my own. Anything you start on your own is your creation. It'll work because it came from what you really want to do, and others will be impressed by it because what you did is what they want to do, and now you're giving them the opportunity. Are you hearing what I'm saying tonight? Yes. We operate too slowly on this planet. We operate too slowly in our minds. We operate too slowly with our bodies. And now you're beginning to see it. That's why time is speeding up, because the planet is no longer going to operate slowly, and it wants to give you a chance to join it in whatever form you want to. But you're moving past that chance, and each day you put on to tomorrow what you could have done. Okay? Yesterday. Is it tomorrow we thought about today? Or is it tomorrow, is it yesterday we thought about in the past? Or what is it to be? You clear it up for me. What is it? How does that maxim supposed to go? Today is the tomorrow we thought about yesterday? Or the yesterday we thought about tomorrow? You follow me? Doesn't even matter. We know that if we live for today, there will be a tomorrow if we're here to exist in it. And we will be here to exist in it, whatever plane we're on. In short, you know what, I moved to a whole topic depending on which you live. We are nothing but mental creatures locked in a physical body for the experience of learning what we should have done when we were not physical. If once we got down in the physical, we'd still do what we said we were going to do given the opportunity. Life is an opportunity for you to progress and do what you said you would do, undo what you said you wouldn't do again, and if you're not doing that, you're going to have a troubled mind. You're going to be drinking and smoking and eating because you're going to try and get past that troubled mind because you don't want to face the truth. More people can pick apart everybody else but themselves, and they're called hypocrites. Don't be one. Okay? Let me now move. You're going to have a chance to get at me. I'll give you the last hour, in fact. I'll take you for an hour if you can count me for 45 more minutes, all right? The planet Earth. Oh, how long? Well, I should even start with this one then. Yeah, you're right about that. No, I'm not going to go there and have to stop. As I get on the road, I'll be pissed at you. You do that. All right. Okay. So I'm not going to go there. Remind me when we come back off of this break that we want to go into Blair's understanding of Earth. It's not Blair's understanding. It's Blair's research and understanding as I read books and I meditated on what our planet really is and our planet is again. So since we're going to have a break, and I'll go into the planet Earth when we come back, I have a number of things up here on the table. Let me explain so you don't have to ask this young lady, Deborah, anything and me anything. Let me explain again what each of these things are. I can do it. Please give me a chance. Hold on. I can do it in 4 minutes time. This is an all-purpose dial. It goes on anything mechanical that you have or that wires in. Your computer, your digitally enhanced TV set, your monitor, your scanner, your hair dryer, your refrigerator. All these things stop radiation from going into your body and help you to get rid of the radiation that's already in your body. That's what this one is. The only difference between that and the cell phone is the color. In fact, this is almost more powerful than the other because these new cell phones, these Bilberries, are horrible. They are killing devices. I'll give you a demonstration the hour after this one on what it can do by just showing you from the audience what it's going to do to you when you get a phone call. Take and put one of these things on every cell phone you have, wherever it is, and the more things you can do. If you can tie it in your home from a satellite, or you can text somebody on another country, then you need one of these because you're using a satellite protection and all that radiation is entering into your brain and your body. This one is the other one. See, it looks alike, but they're not. One is for the cell phone, one is for the appliance. These are bracelets. These are dial bracelets. Oh, I'm sorry. These are both $39.95, okay? I'm not charging you tax, even though I should, because we're going to round it off tonight. This will cost you $40 if you want it, no matter which one. It's the same price. These are $25. These are bracelets. These are diode bracelets. They're made of copper, and inside is cemented the diode material. If you get one, it goes on the left side. If you get two, you go on the other side. This is a slim pocket diode. The slim pocket diode goes in your pocket, and it's slim enough where it doesn't take a lot of bulk. When you put this on your left side, it's going to get your left quadrant of your body and make it, it's going to strengthen your electrical field. It will stop radiation from getting into your body. Now, when I say, what's the difference between this and this is only going to stop some frequency. It's not going to stop all frequencies, because there's so many frequencies from all these towers that are out there, these wind towers, and every time you look in the city, you see these things with these cups. Those things cost $250,000. The one that's at Gwynn cost $1 million. You can't expect something for $28 to do that, but it's going to help you to walk through that field, especially if you have two of them, if you're there again. Thank you. This is a diode plaque. I only have 5 of them. Don't get angry. You can still order them, not off the internet yet, because we're still revising our site, but you can still order them through us. This is the one you put your food on. Pretty soon, if I have my way, every home will have at least 2 of these, or at least 1 of these. 2 because it's a wider surface. This is what you put your groceries on. It will pull 39 frequencies of oscillating energy, which is poison, and radiation out of those grocery things before it sends it to your body. What a better thing can you have than this one on that basis again. We also have diode bits for the entire home, though I didn't bring any. They stand about that high. They will protect 60 yards. You have to get them from the factory. But around your home, it helps to protect you from all these daggone towers that they have. And then the last one we have, which is not here, is a diode mattress. Do not get confused when you go on our website and see the magnetic mattresses. Diode mattress is 6.5 feet by 2.5 feet. You lie on it. But what does it do? It will pull out 39 frequencies of oscillating energy. That's poisons that are in your body. It will draw them out of the cells. It will draw them out, and also radiation. It will draw it out of the what do they call that thing? The liver. It will draw it out of the lymph system, out of the fat cells. It will draw poisons and radiations out of your body. You made the mistake, start to heal the mistake. How long it's going to take, I don't know, but usually in a moon month, a magnetic month, 28 days, most of the time we'll take that out. If those tumors are starting already, you should have done that a long time ago. And you should stop getting all those meats and stuff. If that cancer cell is advancing, start meditating more and use these diodes to get your frequencies go higher. We have found a solution. The Creator has worked through us. I'm trying to share it with you tonight. Hopefully that answered the question. I thank you very much. Thank you.
Wow.
Let me say thank you for that. That was touched me as deeply as I've been touched in a long time, believe me. Brought back old memories I try to put out of my mind, but I hope I never forget, because every time I get weak and think I'm not going to say what happened, I think of how she suffered, and all because they didn't like me. And there's just no quarter. Talk about a vendetta. I've got one. So that's why you hear me say what I say, and anytime you catch me lying about that, you correct me, because it never should have happened. But again, everything in creation happens for a purpose, so you live with it. I want to thank you very much again for supporting me by buying what I have. I hope also that you'll get some of the tapes. We didn't bring all the tapes we have, of course. And of course, there's still some tapes left, by the way, too. Some of you were asking about the Black History Lecture. I have complete on this one. This is the complete set of the Black History Lecture here. This is 7 tapes. You get one free when you buy it. And one of the things that I didn't say, and I want to show you, on the inside of the Black History text, it actually tells you the listing of the order of things that are going on and what it covers. A lot of people didn't know this again. And on each one of these, whether it's the Nubian Egyptian Empire, whether it's lost, forgotten Algonquin in South American black, whether it's blacks in the military, the black presidents of the United States long before Obama, each one of these on the inside cover, it tells you what it actually covers again. And I'm saying by that one, it took me 13 years to compile this information. I forgot how long it took because that's when I was very much into history. Now I'm all in the metaphysics. History is just a small component. And each one of these things there lists, again, in the index, what it covers. If you get that complete set here, if you're a history teacher, and I know many of you say, well, man, Blair, I know more history than you ever teach. That's true. I'm sure I don't know everything on earth, but I'll tell you, it's a pretty good shot. Because if you get into black history, you even go back 250,000 years to Lemuria, Mu, Pan, Hyperborea, all these things that they talk about, even Atlantis, and give me the real dope behind Atlantis, and how part of that was all part of the area of Hawaii, and Kwajaleins and all like this. So this set is complete. If you're a history teacher, if you're researching, I'll tell you, for $150, you just saved yourself a lot of research, and even if you do know it all, there might be a few things in here you didn't know, and of course come back and tell me the things I didn't know too. But that's what this one is. Thank you very much. And I appreciate that very much. This is a good structured water now. You saw, you gave it to me now. All right? Thank you.
I drank it first, Doc.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm afraid.
Well, you know, I was pointing before like that. That's why I say it's very important. Not that it would happen here, but I didn't think it would happen down there. It happened down in Dallas, Texas. That's a long time ago. That was a guest speaker there for Commissioner John Wiley Price, but they sprayed us. They didn't actually do this. But anyway, those are bad news. It's a good time, so let me get past all of that. Thank you for the purchases you did make. And I want to do this before I get into this heavy thing on earth. Many of you asked me questions about it, and I told you, please just hold it, that I would give a demonstration, and I also explain about it. Well, I will do both again. We'll see about the demonstration. If so, I will demonstrate what these daggone diodes can do versus these daggone cell phones that can do worse. But I'll explain to you, again, what happens. Around your body is an electrical field. It's generated from your brain waves and from your blood circulation. Blood is energy, and each cell of the blood is a crystal. So that's why when blood dries, it dries in what they call geometric patterns. It dries in crystal patterns, because each blood has like a diamond or a crystal within it. The red blood cells carry oxygen. The white blood cells are the ones, the leukocytes, that protect you and act as your defense, but they all form crystals. So therefore, when you're in a magnetic field or an electromagnetic field, your blood and your brain are always affected. And they understand this. They are the ones that don't like you. They are the ones that offer you nothing good, because they're the ones that want to continue to dominate this planet and to make sure that you don't wake up. The easiest way not to wake up is to stay low in vibration by using. You would think that when people manufacture something they manufacture would be good. They don't seem to know how to do good, which means there's purposely a reason that they don't like you, or that fear you, or don't want you to be well. This is what we're trying to do, is to make you well and to show you the problems so you can avoid, so you can seek the solutions and avoid the problems. Those shots that they're giving you, bad news. These daggone chemtrails that they're spraying every day, these chem biotrails, all kind of bad things. Titanium, barium, aluminum in them, all these reasons. I'm going to explain why they're doing that. So everything you do for self, and I think someone said that, called the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, whether you believe him or not, he said some good things, and one of those, do for self. If you can do for self for people who act like you, look like you, and want to be like you, then you'll do good. If they look like you and they don't want to be with you, you're in deep trouble. So the thing is, make selections, seek the solutions. The problems are everywhere. We're going to cover some of the problems. I've already tried to find some of the solutions. And I again thank you very much for purchasing from me. As you do this, believe me, this money isn't going to the Red Cross. It never gets it, because they give you a double cross, okay? Now, I said it. This will go, if you can't give it directly, don't give it. Because if you go through a third party, in most cases, little funny greedy fingers get in there and things happen very bad. Thank you once again for purchasing from me. The cards that I have give you the address, an address for our center, not the one you can come to. This is the one in our disbursement center. The number on that is still the good one, 708-422-6685. Again, if you didn't get it, 708-422-6685. Why is it taking so long to get our website up? Because they don't like me. Why is it taking so long for me to get a passport? Because they don't like me. But the thing is, with me, I tell the truth. When you catch me in a lie, tell me, because it'll be a truth that I didn't understand, and therefore I will correct it. So this is the reason why we're going through so many things. When that site is finished, it's going to be one of the most beautiful, complete sites up on the internet. I have some brothers and a sister who are working at it. They're very proficient in it, but we had to undo a lot of things because simply the 10 nations in Europe have not all accepted the euro. The dollar has no value. It's going down every day. This is why I say get goods instead of the dollar, or get things that you can survive on but outside of the dollar. So because of that, we have to go through 7 different banks. And that alone would be a problem, because the Deutschmark, the yen, the mark, whatever you're going to use, each one has a different valuation. So to get with the company that can do this in these daggone world banks, unfortunately knowing them, we had to do all of that. Plus we had to drop some things. The gold got attacked. One of the best things I've ever used is monatomic gold. And now that's even being curtailed, so we had to even do that. So I'm going to have to drop some of those up there. So we're doing a lot. I just didn't want to start taking your money for nothing, so we had to close up shop so we can get things in order. Once it's in order, then I'll try to do business. If things not in order, I'm just not going to do business. So this is why our site is down. I want your money. I want you to be happy. I want you to have the products. But I want you to have what you deserve. Right now, I can't give it. We're trying to show up all those mistakes. Some of you ordered stuff, a young lady said she ordered stuff in November, never got it. That's not my fault. I'm not trying to steal from me. We thought she had it. And this is going on repeated. That's why I say close the site down. When we get our house in order, we'll do business. On the road like this is one thing. When people trust you and start giving up credit cards and stuff, plus the fact, by the way, another thing, you say, well, I ordered from you last month. I gave you my credit card. I don't have your credit card. In fact, once we get it, we destroy the credit card. You're going to have to go through it all again. Believe me, it's for your best intent. Because they might raid me anytime, they get to my site. So once we've transacted business, it's as though we haven't, we have to start it again. Faces, I never forget. Names I do, but your names are important, because the faces that go with it are people that I have seen. They thought enough of me to come out, and so let me say. So once more, thank you. Now, let's get down to business. What I'm going to tell you and what I'm going to share with you is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as I understand it, to me and the Creator. If things have changed, or if they're in the process of changing, and I hope many of these things are, then I will try to change with it. Our planet is a very interesting little planet, and it is a little planet. It is composed of 3 sections and 3 different kinds of life forms on it. The old name for Earth is many. Saros, Shan, Terrestris is the one that most seemingly universal people use, because there's life streaming in outer space, all kind of intelligence out in space. But Earth is very unique, one of 22 planets supposed to be like her. Inside the Earth, people are called interterrestrials. Interterrestrials. On the surface, they're called terrestrials. And outside, they're called extraterrestrials. Anything else that's intelligent that is not on a planet like this, to us, are called aliens. An alien is anything that is intelligent. And I mean anything. They have golden praying mantises. Can you imagine what a praying mantis looks like? Imagine one 15 feet tall in gold, or the nimbus surrounding aura is in gold. Such creatures exist. Anything that is intelligent can be an alien. These movies that are depicting all kind of gross and ungross creatures are probably closer to the truth than what we understand to be the truth. They don't tell you about the inside of Earth. And I have another tape series called The World Within. I did not bring it because I just didn't have enough room. And as I say, I don't like mailing things unless I can wrap it. And every time I travel, they're going to wand the package. They're going to break into the package. They're going to put wands it on me. So that's why I try to be very careful as I'm sitting. Most of the stuff I've sent ahead of time before I came. Our planet is one that is very old, at least 5 billion years old, at least. Life form have been on this planet from the beginning. That's why they made the planet. But it's the kind of life form we're talking about. Our planet, such as this under a sun, supposedly can go up to 12 dimensions, but that has been restricted now to about 7 dimensions. Each one of those dimensions that is above the physical plane that you're born on is called a heaven for some. That's why you hear the term seventh heavens, because now there are 7 dimensions that this planet could ascend to. She's been given privilege to go to the 5th dimension as it is, and that's why we're going from the 3rd dimension to the 5th dimension. If these dimensions can be called heavens because they're faster in vibrations and supposedly offer a better way of life, then you can say Earth has 7 heavens, and that's where you hear the term 7th heaven. Anything outside of the 7th heaven is no longer earth-bound. Anything within it is earth-bound. So Earth has many boundaries, not the ones we see terrestrially on the surface, but able to go into the 7th heaven and still be part of Earth vintage. When you are born and die, or when you're born in mind and not body, you're always making a transition. So let me explain that. A soul comes into being. A soul has no form. A soul can be seen as, depending on the quality of that soul, the vibrational rate, a soul can be seen as many colors. They're like little lights that flow through. The bigger the light, if it's dense, meaning by that, if it's very solid color, the stronger the soul. The smaller the light, but yet is not dense, is a newborn soul or a soul in transition. But when the soul leaves the body, it leaves in the form of a light. In most cases, the souls leaving our bodies are very, very small and not too powerful because at the time of death and transcendency, they are really kind of worn out. But as they get away and have memory, they can come back as little lights. And with the quality and energy that they have, if they're found around, they can usually be found around gold, diamonds, or things where there's a lot of energy, because that's the only way you can see them. Other than that, they would be translucent to your eye. So they go around a field of energy that lets them be physically seen. Because the physical plane, remind you, is the lowest plane. The lowest plane you can vibrate to. When they say physical reality, that's a conundrum, that's an oxymoron. There's no such thing as physical reality. If it's physical, it's not real. It means you had to get down to where things seem to matter and are solids before you could begin to understand them. This table is not a solid. In the martial arts, they show you that until you have no fear that it isn't. But what we're simply saying, if you look at it under an electron microscope, this is a lot of little atoms all spinning together in a form that your mind put together. We are a lot of little atoms all put together in a form that the universal creator's mind can understand. That's why when you say physical reality, it's impossible. This is why when things happen on the physical plane that we can't explain, we say it's a ghost, it's a monster, it's a magic. No, it just simply means that something has taken those molecules, sped them up so that they can't stay on the physical plane, and they're trying to disperse. That dispersal comes with disintegration, disintegration of matter, the body, dust to dust, this and that. Everything physical is held in a matrix for one reason, and that matrix is either somebody's mind, will, or the creator's mind. Anything on the physical plane that the creator has sent has an energy field around it, because you are energy in the mind of the creator. They say that the space is limitless. It is. But space is filled with the brain, mind, consciousness of the universal prime creator. Therefore, there is no such thing as empty space. There is no such thing as a planet not having enough energy to operate on. All these multi-fraction, multi-lithtic, monographic, companies tell you that you got to have some kind of fuel, and they call it fossil fuel. They say fossil fuel because it means that all of the dragons, all of the dinosaurs, everything went to one spot, dehydrated, disintegrated, and therefore you have the fuel from their bodies. One of the biggest lies that only a child should hear, and a child in a crystal now would laugh. No. Fossil fuel is one of the lowest elements you can use to power these cars with and everything else again. The Creator, not being dumb and knowing more than those that were created either outside or inside of his own body or her own body, because I say the Creator is a creatrix or creator. I have no problem with sex because it's androgen. I can't imagine a Creator with a sex. I simply say the universal Creator is a mind, and mind produces sex. When we begin to now look at all these things that are in creation, and we see all these things that are being held together in a matrix, it's only because of the vibrational field, and a planet was made by the universal prime creator. Therefore, around the planet is something called a vortex. Please write that down. V-O-R-T-E-X, a vortex or energy field. Multiple energy fields are called vortexia. V-O-R-T-E-X-Y-A, vortexia. Our planet has all the energy it ever needs because the mind of the creator is what keeps it, and you're reading and using mental energy. The ancient ones, the last dynasties to do that, the 18th dynasty, which had what they call an ankh and a scepter. You never used an ankh without a scepter, and you did not use a scepter without an ankh. What does that show? It shows the four great primary forces, which is called the cross. Now, if you know there's somebody was crucified on, this is the four great primary forces called the cross. Okay? It had a circle that held it. And then you had the spear of Longinus, or the staff. Moses' staff, all these things, whatever you want to call it. You put the staff into the ground. The staff was made of metals, crystals, and used magnets, and created energy from the earth to meet with energy from the sky, and held it in abeyance. When you get an electrical storm, you're a tree standing out there, you're above the surface, you're probably going to get hit by lightning, because that's the energy that is all around the planet, just waiting to be used. You stand up past the planet, it's going to strike you because it's going to try to give you energy. They don't teach you that. But they teach you about lightning rods and semiconductors and conductors and grounds and this kind of thing. When you have the scepter, you stuck it in the ground, you then grab the ankh, you held it by the circle, and you could discharge through your body or receive through your body. The ankh and the scepter were one. The staff, the rod, and the all-seeing eye of the circle of consciousness. So whenever you saw one, you had the other. All based on Tesla coils, Wilhelm Wright, Warwell Keeley, Granville Woods. All of these people utilized that same principle, that energy was everywhere on this planet. Every once in a while when it gets cold like this and you rub your feet on the fur and you touch a wall outlet or you touch a door, pie! Whoa! You just saw energy flowing through you and discharging. You can do that all the time. You can put one on your house, and your house can get off the Commonwealth Edison's line, because energy is up there, waiting to be seen. Evil forces are now trying to disrupt that matrix that holds our planet together. They're putting up towers. They're putting up semiconductors. They're putting up conductive mechanisms which will pull from that, mix it with very low frequency things, and this is what they call electricity. A planet under a sun. Now hear what I'm saying, not what you said, I didn't say later on. A planet under a sun, one sun, can operate on three different kinds of energy in this sector, in this galaxy, in this part of the universe. One is called org energy. Org, organic, original, orgasm, organism, all means something that came from a universal creator's mind or is in it. It is one of the higher frequencies that a soul can operate on and gives you everything you need under that sun. The second thing is magnets or magnetics. Magnetic appeals to the soul, to the consciousness, to the spiritual side of nature. Magnetism overrides any other kind of energy except organic energy. And this is why in magnetism you can draw, magnets are really the Gauss of a magnet. Is the effect of two unlike poles and the distance of effect between those two things. It simply means it has two consciousnesses, one north, one south. One draws, one gives. And in using magnets, you can begin to give and draw from the body and heal the body very easily. That's the second thing you can operate on. The lowest thing that a planet under the sun can operate on, and the one that this planet is operating on, is electricity. Can't get any worse than that. Oh, but they did. They used extra low frequency, extra low electricity propagation, ELF waves. I had a tape out called "Elves Not Elves Are Killing You." People worry about the elves and the trolls and the gremlins and the hobbits and the hobgoblins. Better worry about some of these extra low frequencies from these devices they make. They'll kill you faster than any of those others. Or worse than that, make you wish you were dead because they cause your cells to lose an electron. Your cells will become free radicals and cancerous potential. That's what these fields can cause. Extra low frequencies can cause cancer, free radicalism, and drive you out of your mind as you try to process something that is taking energy from you and giving nothing back to you. In the cell phone, it is a oscillating, let me put it even more clear than that. Cell phones draw energy in the form of sound waves. The sound waves are produced from towers, satellites, and boxes that they have in your house, on the street, so on and so forth. You probably can remember, if you're as old as I am, can you hear me now? That was Verizon, okay? Can you hear me now? Nope. Can you still hear me? Wherever you couldn't hear, it meant that there was a conductor that was not carrying that sound waves, and therefore the cell phone wouldn't work there. What they wanted you to do was to use a cell phone anywhere so you could get it everywhere and they could make lots of money. And they have. They make trillions of dollars and millions of dollars. They say that now there are 2 to 3 cell phones in every home. We're just going in the United States alone, in which you got close to 3 billion people, something like this again? No, that's not that many. How many do you have in the United States? Probably about, maybe what, 500 million? Something like that? 300 million?
300 million.
300 million? I know it can't be that many, because I know you got 3.5 billion supposed in China, and right there, the population is going everywhere. Anyway, almost all those homes have at least a cell phone. Very few have what you bought, those of you that bought it from me, have a diode on it. Some of you got an oscillating device, a Tesla car, so on and so forth, that's fine. I found that none of that worked like the diode, that's why I still have them, and that's why I still stay with the company. I tried the rest, I bought the best, and I then found that this company would make 15 different kinds. When you are using that cell phone, they have on there a device that will seek out the strongest signal that you can. That's why when you lose it, you say, oh, I can't hear you, I have to charge it up again. When you're charging it up, you're charging up a diode battery, but it's not the same kind. It's an electronic diode. And that particular device will now let you circumvent through the air and pick up whatever signal that is dialed in. To dial in now, that means you've got to have a satellite that's going to do the dialing for you, which relays it to the semiconductors in that phone, and so therefore, anytime you have a cell phone on, it's working. Now, why do I say that? People say, well, I got a cell phone, but I don't use it. I say, where is it? It's in my purse. It's in my slacks. It's in my wallet. It is radiating you because you never turn it off. A group like this is radiating each other if you don't have a cell phone diode on it. A church radiates each other. A symphonic concert, a rap concert, a sporting event. If you're inside of a building and you're sitting next to each other, if you're outside of a building out in the open air, that radiation is still coming through the cell phone, and each one is harming one. Keep that in mind when you have one and your person next to you does not, and you try to tell them about it. Once you put a cell phone diode on that cell phone, you counteract that radiation and make it speed up. In general, things that spin to the left are bad for you. Things that spin to the right are good for you. What I mean by spin, I'm talking about the electron spin around the thing that makes that thing whatever it is. An electron usually spins to the left. What the diodes do, they knock that electron off center, make it fly over to the right, and therefore that thing cannot hold radiation again because it's lost an electron and can never gain an electron back again. That's the overall principle of which it works again. But it works so fast, as you'll demonstrate and I'll show you, it works so fast people don't even realize it because it is working on a higher frequency. we are operating on low frequencies, and therein is our problem. A long time ago, when this planet was made, there supposedly were 4 groups of souls that came here. They came from different spaces, and they came together to make a planet. All this I have on tape is called The World Within. When they got together, they knew that the sun was going to be shining on this particular area in space, because they were told to by those who talked or understood the universal crime creator, and they were here to see what it was like to make a planet. They succeeded in doing so, but they understood to do so, they had to have room for the soul of the planet. And the last thing to enter would be the soul. Like the last thing to enter into a baby is the soul. The planet was prepared hollow. All planets under a sun are hollow. I repeat, all planets, natural born, creator made, under a sun are hollow. They could not exist if they were not hollow, because the hollow contains the soul. You have a hollow, and your soul is in it. Every planet under a sun is hollow. Every planet under a sun has a soul. That's why it is hollow. Solid-made planets were not made through the universal prime creator and can be made solid. Most of them emulate or imitate, and so they try to make planets solid. This is what we're talking about in Nibiru, which we're going to end up with tonight. Our planet, Terrestres, had energies that came here at the beginning that were brought here and born here. But the planet preparers, which were not from here, made one mistake. They came from worlds without suns. They came from dark matter worlds. They came from black holes by which matter was spewed out, because light comes from darkness. Light is a product of condensed energy, which is black and opaque in view. When they were making this planet, some of the consciousnesses, and they were not in physical form, they were here using minds over matter. And when they got here and made this planet, as they were about to put the finishing touches on the inside, the sun burst into being, which lets you know that even advanced beings, who you might call gods, can goof. They goofed. And they were so afraid of what that meant that they abandoned some of their light workers, their consciousness that were inside the planet, and left them because they all had to live on a good ship, Merkahaba. Mer means means of travel or water flow. Ka and Ba are spirit and soul. That was the vehicle that they came in. They didn't come into some spaceship with thrust rockets and magnetic lifts and all frequencies. They came in the soul consciousness. And they split up to show what the Creator had done, splitting his consciousness or her consciousness, because I don't call the Creator he, sorry about that. I don't call the Creator she, sorry about that. I call it the Creator no sex, but mind, energy, creating anything, including sex, that he or she would want. So when they were here making this planet, burst on the scene a sun. Their co-padres, their co-patriots and all, got scared to death and forgot all about their brethren down here when they saw the sun, because they know, oh my God, because they knew better than you. That means now you may become physical. Now you're fighting to stay physical. They're afraid to be physical. It is that same principle by which people are mourned when they're born and were waked and laughed at when they died, because we understood at one time what death was. It meant coming to the physical plane. That's death. Down here, we're dumbed down, comatose, brainwashed, inoculated, vaccinated, encrypted, any two of which makes you useless to a spiritual planet. And some of you are still going through the same cycle. Dumbed down, comatose, brainwashed, inoculated, vaccinated, and encrypted. Any two of which make you useless to a spiritual planet. Many of you are now getting rid of that. Getting the diodes to take all the poisons out. Many of you did not take the H1N1. Many of you don't take vaccinations and inoculations. Many of you had ignorant parents and they let you get it. They were ignorant. They didn't do it because they didn't like you. They didn't do it because they didn't love you. They were ignorant and they trusted the great white lab coats. And so therefore they gave you the syringes with it on. But you can still correct that now. You can correct a mistake if you understand it to be a mistake and needing correction. You seek the correction. Wisdom is given. You are corrected. When they had these people down here that made this planet Earth, they now had their remnant inside the earth. They wouldn't dare come to the surface because they knew this is the thing that they feared. So they lived inside the earth, the original people here. These original people had no names per se because names are not necessary. They were all creatures of the universal creator's mind, and they worked in unison with universal mind. When that sun burst on the scene, they now knew they were going to be limited to 12 dimensions. They wanted to be everywhere they wanted to be, anytime they wanted to be, and didn't want any confinement to 12 dimensions. We're now confined to 7 dimensions, and we think we like it. Once that was done, they felt guilty, or the universal consciousness spoke to them. They said, we got to do something to try and rectify this. What can we do? So what they did, since they now knew that the people here were going to be, the souls here were going to become physical, they now knew they were condemned to mortality, which we call immortality. It meant they had to have physical atoms around that matrix that was the soul, so the soul now had definition. It's called a body. But they understood now, it meant that they could not go to dark worlds, they couldn't get out of a solar system, and they were confined. They were so sorrowful it was a shame, because even though you fight to stay on earth, they didn't want to be in the first place. They are the ones you call your gods. But now a remnant of them became physical. Now the soul took on a matrix. They had to have form. The original creatures here were light beings. They had no physical body. You don't have to worry about kind of race. It didn't have a race. It didn't have a body. It was a race of man, later on mankind, that did a lot of the mess. But the whole point is, these original people had no bodies. They were not physical. They were your creators. They were not the universal prime creator. They were creators, helping the universal prime consciousness to do what it did because they were ignorant and wanted to know how to do it, and so the task was assigned. Get that point straight. Now, whether you believe it or not, at least understand my basic premise. Without my basic premise, we cannot develop a theme, and therefore I will lose you. I can still lose you. You can lose me. But let's try to be together on understanding how I see it. Since many of you have asked me individually, I want to speak collectively. They then said to these people, who were later on known as the Abandons or Deros, and it's called then the Abanderos or Abanderos, abandoned ones of organized organisms or originals, abandoned on earth. They sent them a package, and if you read the story of Superman, you got what happened. That's what it's based on. Superman was sent through space from a planet that exploded, was sent to Earth because he felt that that was the best, his father, Baal, whatever his name was, felt that that was the best place for him to experience it, and they're taking away the metaphor of the first consciousnesses on our planet. They sent them then, as they were now taking physical form, and knowing that they didn't have to be exposed to death and everything else, they sent them something that would give them eternal life. It was melanin. You hear what I just said to you? They sent them in this baby package, this spaceship, this Merkaba. They had to make it physical because it had to contain physical matter in a crystal form. It contained the mind crystallized. And that's what the pineal gland is, and that's what melanin is. Mental energy crystal form, which lets you become a god anytime you choose to, but we forgot what a god's supposed to do. You must whatever. You got one on you, huh?
Yeah, I got one on me.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. This matter that was then sent in liquid form was called melanin. And it was sent with this vessel of a baby. This baby was a giant. This baby was born 10 feet tall, and they told you it would become dead. This is when they said there were giants in the earth. This was the first giant that was sent to the abandoned ones inside of earth. Or that whole story. That's the way it's running. Now, they then told them that once this thing would open up, this baby form would be there, this 10-foot tall baby, and they were to put this vial onto the forehead, or the chakra that would develop into the forehead, and this matter would then help to form a hospice for this entity, which was called the skull. And this skull then contained later on glands which would manufacture the melanin on its own, but the original person therefore on earth was black. Because before that time, they had no forms. Didn't matter what they were, because they were formless. They created out of wood. They'd be spirit in the wood. They see water. They jumped into the water. They see anything they wanted. That's why they say these things still have spirit. The old custom, when we forgot what happened, was there's magic in the wood, magic in the water, magic in the rock. because the energy from the soul was in all of these things. The energy that was from these things were all over there. Once this was going on, now you had form and matter in one. But the soul was still the form, and the matter was still that came to the soul. But now you had a first person on earth, which was called Seth, that was a black man. But now understand, when you already been talking about the first one, it is not that the man was black, born black. The man was sent to form this creation to give them a matrix by which they could live on a physical plan and get the most, a plane, and get the most of it, a physical planet. If you want to say a planet is one that his plan has been fulfilled, then he planned it. Or she planned it. But whatever word you want, get the picture. It has nothing to do with race. It's got to do with matter, which all matter comes from dark matter. And so dark matter in the liquid form was brought here as to the first person to compensate for the horrible thing that had been done to it. That is the way man or woman first started on earth. We don't even call it that. We just say that the soul matrix was formed. Now, having understood that, there are in space those that did not come directly from the universal creator through consciousness. But in an unconscious form, they came out of matter and did not have souls because they were not given the privilege of free travel. They took it. They were the alter egos of those that had souls. Digest that one. Think about it now. Not from the creator, but from the creator's creation was dark matter formed, because once people begin to think separately from that, anything they thought came to be. Anything they feared came to be. Because thoughts are things. That's why when you have a thought, you are creating something. And the original creation is from the mind and still is in the mind of the universal prime creator. Anything else you do, if you're creative, can be in music, can be in dance. No discipline is good, no discipline is bad. It's just simply disciplines. The mind of the creator is what you are, and the mind of the creator is where you must go back to if you're ever going to have peace. The rest of it is things you create to make life away from the creator plausible, passable. And even then, your biggest ecstasy is sex, which is still using creative mental energy, and it takes you to nirvana. Sometimes you don't pull back what you put out, and sometimes the burps aren't good, but you had a taste of creation when matter is made from mind. In all matter, there is a mind source, and that's the source you search for to control the matter, not the exterior, but what's interior. Digest that for 30 seconds, please. Now think about that and see if that is really what you believe. Because if you don't believe that, then you're never going to say Blair told the truth. You're going to say Blair said it is on his mind, and I'm still digesting, seeking the truth. And that's what you must do with everything you read, hear, or see. Always process it through your matrix, otherwise you're not going to believe it anyway. The worst thing are those that were formed without melanin and outside of the creator's mind, because now they know in their souls, because they don't have one, that it's true, because they already were corrupt enough to leave the soul. Those are the soulless ones and how they came into being. In a sense, they are those without souls because they would not honor the universal creator, were made as an abstract thought of souls wandering, and now believe that they are real and exist. And they have no more existence than that you give it. That's what the movie Matrix was trying to show you. All those Smiths that created the machine world because they couldn't go to the microbiological world. So when you don't have something, you do the best you can to duplicate that something, and that's where technology comes from. That's what Avatar was trying to show you. The technical masters bereft the spirit and soul, attack those that have it because down deep they're jealous and angry of them. But they're still part of your creation. And when you don't believe in them and don't honor them and don't fear them, you take away the only thing they have. Now they go to face the universal creator who says, away with you. Because you never should have been that part of creation in the first place. That's why they hate darkness. That's why they're talking about dark matter and talking about black holes. That once you go into that black hole, you never come out. Or if you come out the other end, you're transformed. Because they fear it. They don't have light bodies, They have created bodies. They are false creation because they're not from the universal creator, yet they are from the universal creator's mind, and the mind is all they have. And that's where the confusion starts. Until you realize every thought that you hold that is not in consciousness of your higher mind is still existing. And I wonder how many of those you've already created. Abstract thought? No such thing as abstract thought. Some thoughts you think, some thoughts you give more consciousness to, but when you think it, it still comes to creator because you are a creator. You have a mind. So if you want to get to the basis of everything, you must go to pure mind. The only physics now that is worth anything on this planet that we know of is quantum physics. Every other law that they teach you is a false law. No two things can occupy the same space at the same time. A body set in motion tends to stay in motion. All of those are lies. And if they teach it in physics, they are mental physicists, not metaphysicists. They're not using the consciousness, they're using physical reality which doesn't exist. So their basic premise is wrong. They taught you this because they envy you as souls, and half of them don't even know why, because they never had one. So they come as close as you can to understand how it should operate and study you and try to duplicate you because they know something's missing. And you got the best and don't even know what you had, so you're giving up your soul now for a little money. You're giving up your soul, and how does it go? What profiteth the man, I'm going to put in woman or man, to give up, to gain the entire planet and give up the soul which can go to trillions of planets and even make them. That is so stupid an exchange that it's not even worth talking about. There ain't no precedent. There's nothing on earth worth you staying here for when you can create earths. So for a little temporary soulless creation called money, you give up your soul. They have a movie, they got something coming out, I understand. What would you give up? What would be enough to get your soul? And you know, some people say, name a figure of money? I look at that, I see so many, I think the thing's so crazy. Sometimes they glare, what are you doing here? And I know what I'm doing here, to teach. That's the only reason I could be here, because there's nothing else I can do that's worthwhile. Because I'm not incited by all these other things. I use them as vehicles to let me do what? Teach some more and learn some more. What profiteth you for money to do anything to hamper a soul or to give up your own when you can go to any place where a soul has been made? For those that are soulless, I can understand it. And that's exactly what you're seeing now in the world's governments. Soulless creatures being controlled by dracons and reptoids to make this planet go backwards and to capture you from ascension. Did you hear me? Yes. Can I make it any clearer? Now, you don't have to believe it. You say, yeah, all right, I'll try to make it clear. The world government has been referred to as the New World Order. Order seclorum, novus order seclorum. And the age of time comes back, takes us back to the beginning of time, and do we make that ascension, or do we fall again to have to repeat it again? Our planet ain't going to repeat it again. Why do I know so? Because the Universal Prime Creator told me. If you haven't contacted him or her, try it. You can. I don't care what they're saying in these books. This planet is going to ascend in spite of them. On the outside of this planet, we now have two suns. We've had that second sun since the middle of 2003. Why don't your meteorologists, your these are astrophysicists, why don't they tell you that? They're studying everything. They know everything. Then why don't they know that they have two suns out there? The reason why the Earth now is so cold, one reason, is because magnetism on the North Pole, or North Gauss magnet, is cold. It looks bright, but it's cold. That magnetic anomaly of a cold sun is something that physicists won't even buy. They don't even understand cold suns, but they understand cold fusion. Well, how can you understand cold fusion and not understand cold suns? They're lying about that. They're teaching you everything is fissionable. Those two suns out there are as bright as they've been in a long time because they've now come into union. They're almost one. And sometimes, some of you have even seen it. You see them setting, you see two distinct suns. I have pictures, I don't think if I brought them, I might have, that shows you one sun and then you see one behind it. It's two suns out there. The magnetic field of Earth is growing They're telling you the magnetic field of Earth is diminishing. Lies, 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 lies. It's growing because magnetism supports spirituality and magnetism supports a soul. That's why even though there's not much sunshine, when you do see it, it's bright as heck, but it's cold outside. But the sun is so bright out there, you can't even look at it. That's what you call cold fusion. That is cold energy on a magnetic form. Magnetism supports the planet. Magnetism supports your pineal gland. Magnetism supports melanin. It's your gift. It's going to bring you back into consciousness. And that's why people with melanin are now becoming conscious. Because under the electrical sun, you were dispensated. You were messed up. You were held down. You were put in check. You were messed over. I don't know what other words I can say. It's the wrong energy. And every time you use something electrical, it's killing you. That's why these extra low frequencies, they not only give you electricity, they give you extra low frequency. In the cell phone, in the computer, in the microwave oven, in the hair dryer, in your what do you call this daggone thing? Your all of it's low. They got these blankety-blank, I'll almost start cursing again, blankety-blank towers out here. You say, why can I curse a grown man? Because I don't like cursing. I want to use my brain. I don't have to just curse at you. I'll curse at you in my mind, but you'll read my mind and know what I'm saying anyway. That's what you're supposed to do anyway. Mental wars. You can make a person stop doing what they're going to do by putting the right energy in that thought. That thing, if he looks you in the eye and he looks you in the eye, they'll stop on the spot because they know they got your soul. And that's what haunting is about. When they never get it straight then, now they can come back and get it straight later, and they're on one side, you're on the other, and you're in the world of trouble. Let's go back again. When you have a soul, you have a responsibility to self. No one else. Nobody owns your soul. There are those that want your soul, but you have to give it freely. But once they got it for a price, you pay the price. That's why they say the devil takes your soul. Or the devil sends his imps to take the soul. Your soul is valuable because your soul is a vehicle to the universal creator's mind, and ain't nothing on earth you should give it up for. Not a person, place, or thing. Say, that person got my soul. You in trouble? You know it. If you gave me your soul, you know what they'll do with it when they at their downtime. Okay? Uptime's cool. Downtime, bad. We're always giving our soul because we don't understand what the soul is. Soulless ones do, and they try to inhabit you. Now we're getting deeper. Those without souls that have galaxies, and I'll even name some of the galaxies again. You've got what they call Orion. You've got what they call Draconis. You've got what they've got a bunch of them again. Zeta Reticuli is part of that. These are all areas where soulless creatures dwell. But they're never satisfied because you're always seeking what you have. What is that? They realize they are bereft of universal creator's consciousness, and they want to know why. Why us? What do we do? Well, therefore, we will attack your creation anytime we can, because if you give it to us, you wouldn't have them. We would honor it. They're not. Well, we always say what we're going to do before we get a chance to do it. They're probably liars too, because every time they get a chance, they're destroying souls, which they can't, but they're always trying to capture a soul, which they can't, but they still try, which lets them know that if the Creator would have mercy and give them souls, which they can do by just changing consciousness, but they don't know that. And that's what the movie Avatar was trying to show me. When they wake up and see the mistake that they did, they now know they got to come through the form that the black man came through because the soul was in there, and then maybe they can turn black down the line. It is not that you as black people are so great. It's just that the soul is in you, and people who don't want it envy what you have. And the darker you are, the faster and higher the grade of that soul, which is every time you do a drug, then why you act even more stupid than the stupidest person. People with melanin cannot do any pharmacological drug. You can't do it. You can do it, and you're losing your soul because now you're getting calcification of the pineal gland for which melanin is made. So you're killing yourself every time you use it. After a while, you take so much of it that the calcification of the pineal gland is complete. It will not produce melanin, and you start dying. Then you got to go and do what all synthetic people do, take some drugs to try and recapture what you had already and didn't appreciate. Or believe in the great white lab coat wearing and do anything they tell you to do. Have you ever seen this movie? And I've sold enough of it to send around. Psychiatry, the Industry of Death? If you haven't, you owe yourself to see that movie. In fact, you send us a copy, I'll send you a copy for $20. I think it costs $5 to replicate it, got a mail. But you should see that movie before you start. If you see that, you would never respect a psychologist or psychiatrist again. That's in case there were psychiatrists and psychologists in the room. I am not telling you a lie. Go back and see that movie. They even tell you lawyers now that will represent you for free. They'll tell you dispensations that are being made by courts, vaccine courts and all, for all those people they messed up by giving them those shots. It is one of the worst professions you can be in, based on lies all the way. Don't believe me, see the movie, then you come back and thank me. Psychiatry, the Industry of Death is the name of the film. If you write for us again, we'll send it out to you. If not, if you can find it someplace, get it and see it. It's worth seeing.
Documentary or movie?
Pardon?
It's a documentary.
It's a documentary all the way. Now, when I got on this little tangent, because of that, and because our planet now has two suns and they're both magnetic, our planet is going to get rid of the soulless ones. And the battle now is not because of you, it's because the sun people and those that live under a sun are now getting rid of the people that have no sons. They're not sons of the sun, they're not daughters of the moon. They're now getting rid of them, and those life forms at one time used to live inside of our earth. Because along with the good guys that were down there came other species which realized that you cannot live on the surface and maintain any kind of stability. Because the sun, as it was, without a magnetic covering, creates death. The cells die as soon as they're born into the sun. As soon as they're born into a physical planet, they begin to die. And age age is produced by sunlight with too high a frequency working on cells who can't match it, so it destroys them and radiates them rather than proper and able to making them live more. That's what happens when you don't have melanin, which disperses that energy jointly throughout all the cells that have souls, which have melanin, and that's why you can live longer under a sun if you have it. It kills you if you don't, because the sun and the soul is in each of those cells. Around each cell is something called a membrane. That stands for memory ring. They have permeable and semi-permeable membranes, which means sometimes that cell is taking energy, sometimes it's giving off energy, and that's how it lives. When you have radiation at low frequency, it goes in there and destroys the cell membrane, eats up the cell governor, and the cell becomes a cancer, a free radical. That's what cancer is. So when you're exposed to these radiation fields that are low, you're killing yourself because it's killing your cell governor. The cell's a free radical, it's a cancer cell. You're not able mentally to hold it in. You don't know what to do otherwise, and so now you begin to be eaten up by a foreign soulless substance because the soulless ones are now in you. Did you hear that? That is cancer explained. Let me try it one more time. Every soul is a cell or has a cell. And every cell has a soul. Why? Because every cell has a governor, a little vibrant piece of energy in there that they call the cell governor or the brain of the cell. Every cell is another soul, it's another planet. Everything in creation just replicates itself. What you see in one exists all the way. The Creator has nothing to hide. Your cell has a cell governor. That's what makes it specific. You got a hair cell. You got a skin cell. You got a muscle cell. You got a blood cell. All of them are cells that are hollow with governors, making them specifically do what they're supposed to do. And around each one of those is a membrane of energy that is called the cell wall. The cell wall does not take in corn chips and steak and french fries and so. In fact, once you eat corn chips and steak and french fries and hog maw and pig ears and I'm sorry. That's a kid. You don't see it in the cell. You see the energy that it either took to process it, I didn't say digest it, or it took you to hold it. Because there is no energy in any of those things, and you're not eating food, you're eating death. Because it takes more of your life force to process and throw it away than it did to take it in. When you take in things that have food, like gold and stuff like this, now you feel more vibrant when you finish eating. You eat less and gain more, because when you gain more, you eat less. Huh? Huh? You didn't follow that, did you? If something has no life force in it, in other words, energy from the universal prime creator, how can you get life force out of it? At Thanksgiving, at Christmas, when you sit down and eat all kind of foods for all duration of time, and you go somewhere on the couch and go to because it's taking all your energy to process what you ate for food. It's not food. And they call it soul food? No way. No soul of mine knows it. No soul of me. You can't get something from nothing. And that ain't food. It's nothing. It's got no life force. Things that have life force have a vibration to them. There's an essence. There's a foamy thing. You can feel it. And after 3 days' time, it's all bad anyway. So if you get your juices, you keep it 3 days, it's no good. Get it full of life. Add gold to it. Quicken the energy. Now, your cells will heal themselves. As it is now, you keep giving them death and say, why ain't I getting better? Well, you didn't do anything to get better. You do anything to make the process worse because the soul is not in these cells. The cell then seeks other souls in your body in the form of cells to live off of. And that's what cancer cells do. They got nothing going. You deserted them. So now they're going to find the cells that are good and take them over so they can feed off of them. They're vampires. And that's what a vampire is. Any collection of cells that had no cell matrix from the soul creator and now is seeking other cells in order to metabolate and live. Anytime you get then a cell without a life source, it's going to seek other cells in your body. Now you could stop that. And this is how sometimes those two people you didn't know before, Miss Desire and Willpower. When they get together, you got something going. They are a mate. It's from heaven sent. But you lose one without the other, ain't going nowhere. So now, what are they telling you? Using that as a principle, I'm trying to make it as simple as a baby, because babies are pure when they come in. They get confused once they get here. Let's be pure back to the kind of matrix we came in on to know that you already know truth because you were born in truth. You develop other truths through habit, formation, and misuse. The cell has around it a cell matrix. It's an energy field. Sometimes it's taking in energy, sometimes it's giving off energy, yinning and yanging, ebbing and flowing, magnet, north and south pole. The cell has a governor. As long as that governor is kept intact, the cell will do what it's here to do. Not give it enough food or give it poisons, it will soon lose that cell governor. Now it becomes a free radical roaming through your body to try to get with other cells so they can live off of them because they don't want to die. They are vampires in your blood called free radical cells. Is that now understood? Yeah. But don't make it say it clear now again. Now. I don't say you have to agree. You understand the philosophy. Yes. That's all I want you to know. Just understand it. Don't have to agree with it. You sleep on it, see if you agree with it. But hear what I'm saying. Now, this planet is nothing but a cell. It means it has a hollow interior, which has a soul. That's the inner sun that they don't tell you about. That is the soul of Earth. There's another sun inside of this Earth. It's nothing but a cell. Okay? This particular planet has 7 air layers, or 7 layers, inside. It has 7 layers outside. So it's an onion of 14 layers, with the matrix being that separates the inside from the outside. That is outside they call up to 7 heavens. As inside they call it the 7 hells of Hades. Hellen, hell means to cover. That's what the word Helen means. Look it up. To hell and back, there's some people call it hell and backs. Right? That means that when you go inside, there's 7 different areas you can go inside the earth. When you go outside, there's 7 areas you can go outside the earth. It's still earth-bound. It still means you're on earth, and that's what they call earth-bound souls, because the souls might try to get free, but right now they're earth-bound. If they don't have souls, they were never here in the first place. They're this matrix here, and who knows what they'll do. Souls here are here for a lesson, whether it be in the hells or in the heavens. They will get that lesson. Well, everything you want is right down here on earth, because everything you're thinking, earth tries to make reality. That's what it's called, physical reality, which doesn't exist. Huh? Did you follow that one? Didn't miss that. You missed that one. Physical reality doesn't exist because the physical plane is the lowest condensation of people falling from understanding to non-understanding. So on the earth, everything is physical. And that's what we study. physical science, and they teach you that. What about extreme abnormal science? Well, that means you're abnormal. Well, what about quantum physics? Well, that means that only specific people can get to that. You're not smart enough. Well, that means you're not smart enough to be alive, because you have a soul, and that's what it is. It's extraneous matter. It's matter that you can't hold in your hand. You want to measure the soul. Depends on what the soul has learned or not learned. Let me now make this even clearer as we want to move to what's happening on our planet now. These soulless ones couldn't live under a sun because they wouldn't be able to live anyway because they had no souls. And they didn't have physical bodies, so they came to Earth and lived inside the shell of Earth for protection. And then, since they didn't have souls, they wanted to understand more what made these souls what they were. So they came here and began to kidnap, abduct, mess over, and set up laws by which they could then get souls, stop them from ascending, and use them to find out why their souls, they didn't have one. That's what it called the little grays you hear about. They have other names. That's what it called these people from Telos. Well, Telos, they're pretty good ones. There are a lot of people here from all kind of places. There are 13 different kind of people here right now from other planets, 3 of which could pass. The rest of them, if you saw them, you would freak out. But they live inside the Earth because they know what it means to live under a sun, and plus the fact if they live on the surface for a while, they might begin to have soul irritation because they don't have souls, and everything you're doing is what souls want. So they want you to get from you what you're making out of the matter. That's why they abduct you. And that's why fourth dimensional people are seen coming through walls. Those women and men aren't lying. When the women say they were abducted and think they were impregnated, that's the creatures that now work with the soulless wonders here to try and duplicate what the Creator has. They're being exposed for what they are. That's why these movies are coming out. Why do you think they talk about werewolves and vampires? Everybody saw that movie that some of the, I think it was called Predators or something like this, where they had locks. And they said, they didn't care what they looked like, they had locks, they meant they were good. Not necessarily so, because they got locks, they don't have to be good. But they just looked like you in one form. Okay? So, they've been back here, and the movies are trying to show you they're there. Now that they're beginning to now find that this planet is taking on more magnetism, they know their time is limited. Because magnetism is for souls. And the step after magnetism is org energy, organic everything. Then you know they're dead. Because now they'll disintegrate what they don't have on the spot. So they got to get off the planet. And that's what they're about to be. They're buried into the ground. They got more cities under the ground than you got on the surface. Because on the surface you have water. These people live under the water. You know, the water only goes down so deep. They live on levels underneath the water. They even put, the fish ones there, even put domes on the bottom of the ocean, by which they can go in and try to get to be part of this. You got everything here. There's more inside the earth than there is outside the earth, and they never teach you that in history, in zoology, in biology, in humanities. Why? Because they're not human. Why would they teach you about yourself? Because you might learn and begin to question what you're doing anyway. You're finally breaking away. And then, take a deep breath, because now you're going to get angry. Some of you get happy. And then they give you the best vehicle of expression you have. If you found out the schools weren't teaching anything, all you had to do was go to the church. And the church would direct you to vital finality, because they were there to take your souls and direct it back to the Creator. No, they didn't use Creator. Back to Jesus, back to Allah, back to Buddha, back to everybody else that represents a church. All churches are false. There is not one good church. I make that statement as an ex-Baptist minister. Notice I said ex. When I knew better, I did better. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not going to play with the Creator. I thought I had truth. I spent time in school to be taught lies. And every question I had, because I've always been a student, and I asked those people in seminary, they told me that you don't do it, that's false stuff. You don't do it. That's exactly what I wanted, was the false stuff, because then I know how to separate the false stuff from myself. If you know, teach me. If you don't know, don't teach me. Don't claim you're a teacher. So then I began to hear about the Council of Nicene. I began to hear about King Constantine and Bishop Eusebius. I began to understand that when the so-called Greeks came into there, what they brought with them was a false religion because they had been occupied. I began to understand about the original Jews that were not Dravidians or Colossians. I began to find about everything. I said, whoa, what is this I'm beginning to find out about? And why, since I finished that course, didn't I know about it before? How can I be a good anything if I don't have all the books and all the truths? Let me be weighing enough to know what's real and what's not real. On the dollar bill, they're still back. The Novus Ordo Seclorum, the order of the New Ages will come about. They got the all-seeing eye of Horus above the pyramid, and the same thing on the dollar, and the church accepted the dollar like any other thing. They're not going to turn down your dollars. They're going to put ATM machines in your church because that takes you to Jesus. Allah will bless you if you got an ATM machine down there because you can punch in his number, and he lived off of money. You know Allah does that, don't you? And you say, why did I strike that? Because I'm telling you the truth. Why do you need an ATM in a church? What does that have to do? The financial status of your soul? You going to spend soul money? That taking and giving your soul for money? You are born as a soul in the temple of the Creator, and the only thing you got to do is get the body you were born in straight, because you got 75 trillion souls in there depending on you, and you don't even know who you are. Every soul everybody has at least 75 trillion souls in there. Little cells that you're supposed to be dispensable for. If you want to find your Creator, go within. Every night you join the Creator because you die every night. You're back here because your soul has something to learn, and the multidimensional existences that you think you call dreams. As you're living elsewhere in the Creator's mind each night, and that's why your dreams are so vivid now, especially if your soul is going back to the Oregon energy generators, because now you're not just focused on one lifetime on this planet, you're focused on the lifetimes you've had and are having, because life is simultaneously existent as multidimensional existence in the Creator's mind now. And you visit that when you go to sleep. When you come back in, sometimes you come in too soon or too fast, and you wake up on the lower astral, which is the lowest heaven, and you don't quite sit in, and you look and you see an old hag and some awful looking creatures, and you can't scream, and you're screaming and nothing's coming out, and you panic and go nuts and go to the psychiatrist next day and take some Darlons. I don't have to go through that again. You are not your body, you're in the body. You are a soul experiencing the physical plane, because it was the only way to get the point across to your stubborn selves. And now you came into suffering and you call it real, which is a matrix you helped create. And you can break it up anytime you want to. That's why when you don't do the drugs, and you purposely gear up your pineal gland to tell the pituitary gland to secrete the hormones to take you there, they will do what these drugs can't do. They'll take you there. And then you can come back from that unharmed because you went there through creation that you made, not what some daggone drug gave you. When you go on a drug burst, you got taken there and you don't know how you got there, and you know some of these streets at night, you know you better not go down there without some kind of guide, and you better have two guys and a good karate master or Tai Chi. Don't do this, forgive me. You better have somebody. Well, it's the same thing. When you do these drugs, they blast you to these various planes of existence automatically, and you didn't, but your soul, your body can't match it. So now you lost your body, which means you act like you lost your mind because your soul is no longer in that body and something else is in you. That's how you get possessed. And that's when you take these drugs, that's exactly what happens. Half of these drugs come through with a what do they call these things? These little things that are in the syringes already, these little chips. You think you're getting the drug, you get the chip first, then they give you the drug, because once you got the chip, you're going to take the drug. You're going to crave it and ask for it, because now you're out of your minds, and you want sanity again. Go the hard way. Develop it yourself. Take in the things that give you life force. Make your pituitary gland secrete what you want. And now, since you created, it's your heaven. If you're up there, you deserve that heaven. You didn't get blasted into the heavens, thinking the hell's taking you seeking for a heaven. The temple of the Creator is your body. You are part of the universal Creator's mind. You have a soul. You are never without the Creator. You can be godless, because gods are false. They are people and scientists. The Creator is neither. The Creator is all of those, and you are from the Creator. When you want to find yourself, ask for the Creator. He or she might answer because you're in him or her. And every night you can contact it. You don't need a rabbi. You don't need a minister. You don't need a priest. You got the pre-conduct pass. You go there every night and look forward to it. I got to go to sleep. I'm tired. You're tired of earth life. You want to go to sleep because you want to go to heaven. But then you look at, well, where is heaven? You just went to it. Where is hell? You're coming back. Do you get the picture? I know I just stepped on some corns. And I told it bad enough. Step on a corn. Oh. I have to step on corns to make you get your feet straight. Because if your foundation and feet aren't straight, where's your head going to go? The 10-foot tall knives of earth and people who are there, 10 foot tall, your soul is a billion feet tall because it has no boundaries. And your soul is your direct connection with the universal prime creator. Doesn't ask for offerings, doesn't ask for tithes, doesn't ask for ATM machine, doesn't ask for you to sing and choir or jump and shout. It says, this ascend unto me. Jacob's ladder had no end and no beginning because it was the rungs leading to the mind of the creator, and that's what that metaphor is about. Let me explain one more because it was asking me. I asked the person, let me explain it in full, in and out. And I hope you don't get angry with me tonight, but you asked for truth. I'm going to give you the truth I have. If it's your truth, it's good. If it's not, I'll probably step on your toes, but they don't have corns. So there's a hope for both of us. The metaphor of the ascension as given in only Christianity. I know you probably have as many Muslims here as you do Christians, but let me start with the Christians because the Christians still seem to think that they got the best deal. So let's never deal with that. Christ was crucified at Golgotha between two thieves, ascended after sitting anywhere we don't so when I created where have thou forsaken me, I give it up, I'm ghost is gone. Was buried, Gethsemane, the stone was placed in front of the place where he was, and on what day did he rise after that? What day? Third day he rose. Okay. He rose to the third ascension, third heaven. Huh? Okay, well let's see what we're going here. In the body and on the body in which you inhabit, there is something called a spine. The spine is the only chemical, calcium, or mineral, phosphorus, manganese, magnesium, all these things that make up what we call bone. It is then the erecting area for your body. So, it has generally 32 vertebrae, or 32 coccyx, or 32 divisions, each one with synovial fluid, collagen between each two. At the bottom is the longest one, called the coccyx. Now, the body built around that form of skeletal mass now has nerves. And the nerves wrap around and go through that spine, which they call the spinal column, and connect with the tissue and soft tissue within the body. When you start getting a sore neck, or you start getting the vertebra out of place, or what they are then again, it's because those last vertebrae now are not in alignment with the body. But underneath all that apparatus, which is external, it's just like that's a house. But inside the house, there's wiring. There's coolness or heating systems or air conditioning systems. And that's what's in your body too. So, called around those vertebrae are nerve ganglia. One is called ida, the other is called pingala. And they face out around after they come up the spine. And on top of that is this last little rock-hard formation there at the top of it. At the top of that is also, when you get into more physical things or less physical things, is what they call the serpent brain or the animal brain, or what they call the animal brain is right up at the top. And down at the bottom is more matter down there, which is called the solar plexus, is connected to. Okay. The energy that comes in from the sun can either come in from the head to the pons varoli into the hypothalamus, which is the pituitary pineal complex, or comes in through the navel and the solar, which is called the solar plexus, or the plexus there where the animal forms can get energy from. If it's generated in through there, or if you eat food that's generated through there, it begins to form a fluid. It's called the spinal fluid. Never let them take that. They do that to women all the time. Get the spinal shots at birth or cesareans after they want to make more money. Once you get that down in there, that energy will begin to rise up the spine just like a thermometer, just like a mercury, and will rise to its source. At the 16th vertebra, it changes to a gas. And from that time on, it's a gaseous ascension till it gets into even more refined gas at the 32nd vertebra again, before it's now going into the brain. Jesus, which represents a universal, 13 kinds of religion all have the same story, except they have only one with a white man that's leading it. When that energy would come into ascension, and it ascends up there again, what happened there? The Christ failed, but Jesus failed through the Christ because he could not finish the ascension. So he was crucified at Golgotha, which means land of the skull. He was crucified by two thieves, the Ida-Pingala pneumogastric nerves, which were always trying to take energy from him. They took from everything because they were thieves. The thieves in the night are the serpents that wrap around your spine, stopping you from your ascension. When he was laid on the cross, spread there as he would, he knew that this next day I will be with the Father in heaven, because now he was going to probably get through what he couldn't do in life, move that daggone stone plate there and ascend, because that is where the hurt comes. When you crash through that spinal fluid, turning to a gas, crushes through, move the stone, and now you can begin to ascend into the higher consciousness of earth and in your body and in the immortality of the soul. The left brain then can be gotten past the guards with is a serpent brain. The reptile brain does four things: feed, fight, flee, and fornicate. Let's keep it nice. When it does those four F's, that's all it will do. And that's the first brain you get after your ascension. You got to fight your way through it. And it's telling you can't do it, you better do it, you better kill somebody if you do this. It's always doing that. Fighting, running, eating, or reproducing itself on the wrong level. Once Christ got past that, he now had rolled away the stone that blocked him, that little platelet that blocked you from going to the higher brains, and now you could ascend to the eternal. They now call it clicking the amygdala, if you don't want to do it the little way. Now you got a choice of going to the left brain, which is your logical brain, and what they teach you. It's not logical to go past that, because once you use logic, that is pure matter. That's it. That's what soulless ones. You have no brain. You're going to the right brain, which is the one I told you how to get through speed. It doesn't even have the time to say, I don't know what I'm in this body. Nobody ever uses me. It's just sitting there waiting for you to understand the universe, the cosmos. And you back there talking about it's not logical. I took a course in logic. I said, what did you do? You took a course in what? I just take my head and walk away. One tin soldier walked away. Logical? Logic? That's illogical to take a course in logic. Because there's no logic to illogicality. It's stupid. The right brain will take you to the universal creator's mind. It'll let you go through and still come back. It'll let you release the astral body. It's there to give you all the memory you ever want. Everything on the earth is locked in that brain, because everything you came back for is locked in your right brain. That's the one they tell you don't use. It's illogical. You're creative. Your mind's a million miles away. Well, I bet you got there faster than light could travel. Light travels 186,000 miles a second. You go wherever you want to in the universe in a minute. In less than that. In a second, your mind could be at the end of the universe. What's the fastest travel? Mind. And that's what the Creator uses. And light is what they tell you. You got to reach the speed of light. By the way, too, just in case people get confused, that's all supposed to be donated to a man by the call Einstein. Okay? Who had a theory of relativity. Obeah proved it, and he didn't get anything. Einstein's still theorizing. Obeah, the Nigerian, proved it. What honors does he get? He don't even know his name. He proved relativity. Einstein had a theory of relativity. It's the Jewish people that want you to put that up there. That's why they keep offering that before you. And I say Jewish because they're not Dravidians, and they're not what? Philosophers. Okay? So I'm simply saying, once you understand the metaphors involved in that thing that they gave you called a Bible, once it was revised and missed 196 books by the Council of Nicene under Constantine, he brought your movie back. He still suffered for what he did. So the movie said he should. And the Bishop Eusebius, they gave you all this foolishness. They had to unite Rome. The Roman Empire had spread all over the place. And if you didn't belong to the Roman Empire, you didn't exist. But since the Roman Empire was made up of armies, when they defeated these guys, sometimes they go into a battle to fight the heathens and other people, and they kill each other off as soon as they got a chance. I can you in the first place. Heathen did that. Okay? Therefore, they knew that unless Rome was going so big, that unless they united Rome, they could not take over the earth because the Romans would be killing each other. So they said, we got to get a state religion. We got to do something to unite all these people under the Roman Empire. So he went to the bishop and said, we got to devise a plan. He said, what we're going to have to do, our two biggest sources were the Hebusites, again, and the Christianites. And if we could get those two factions to come together, we would have, listen, so if we can get a state religion to combine their holidays, their best days, their best metaphors, and everything else, we got them. Anybody else will kill. And that's what they proceeded to do. They gave Arius and his followers, for 1,300 of it, told them to get out of Rome, gave them their walking paper, get out of Dodge. And they're the ones that said, what you do, you will rule the day. And they're the ones that kept the truth and tried to take it to the land of the so-called Saracens and stuff. They took all that stuff and all that writings and tried to escape Rome. Half of them never made it. But then you now had your new state religion, Christianity. And that's the one, and if you have read, how many have ever heard of the Inquisitions? Do you know it? No, I'm not going to ask questions because everybody be asking questions. The Inquisition killed close to 3 million people in the space of 8 years. When they inquisited you, they broke your foot, they disemboweled you, they burned you alive, they flayed you. All because of one thing. You didn't believe in the name of Jesus Christ. Now, I can understand a Christian getting kind of teed off about that. But you got to kill him, flay him alive, burn him, stretch him, disembowel him. All because of that? No, it's because the ancient people were taught the ancient wisdom. The word of the Dogons and people like this who taught that there was a creation, there was a creator, and you didn't have to go through the priestcraft to get it. Well, the priestcrafts couldn't have that because they couldn't make any money. And they couldn't go out and kill people all over the world because some people with souls wouldn't think about it. But when they said that they were godless and fearless and killed everybody that stood against them, they killed them because they said they would not believe in the name of Jesus Christ and died for our sins. I get messed up, but you have to kill him, burn him alive, kill 3 million. You have more Catholics now in Mexico and in South America than you do in Italy. Why? Because when Cortez came over there, killed Montezuma, which had the old teachings about that God was everywhere and so forth, and came in there, made little acolytes out of it, burned them alive, killed them, and then everybody, the church says one thing, give me your young, I have your old. If you misuse the young, you misuse, if you miseducate the young, whatever you do to the baby will be a grown baby. Misformed, miseducated, malcontent, misappropriated because they sold you a social security number and then gave you back nothing. That's religion. That's what it gives you, nothing. But the right to go to somebody else to reach what you already have. And then make you pray for it and pay for it. That's exactly what they did in Montezuma. They burned the books, took away the religion, killed off the parents, and then took over the children who do no better. Now you got all these people from Latin America, Catholics. That was never their religion. And all their parents gave up their lives for it. That's why you get a lot of haunting and things down there again, because look at that. This is what they did. I am not lying to you. I'm telling you the truth. Sometimes that movie like A Few Good Men, you can't handle the truth. Or can you? And again, disagree with me. You wanted to have it laid out tonight, I'm laying it all out as fast as I can make it. Now you do your research, and go within first for your research. Go within with an honest soul mind and say, that fool up there is a devil incarnate, but he caught me and I want to make sure. The only way to make sure is to go within and see what really comes out. And every time you've heard about something in the church that didn't make sense, question it. And the biggest thing is, why does it matter if you have stained glass windows, if you paid off the mortgage when all the mortgages are being reversed around now anyway? You got reverse mortgages that way. What's wrong with the church one? Because they signed a 5013C, and if ever they go against it, they come up for all the back taxes, which is unsolved in the first place. The church and state are separate. You never have to tell somebody, God talked within you. You start your church, you don't ask anybody, and you collect nothing and give nothing. Especially you don't give it to the IRS. It means again that you are now not sovereign, and the church is not independent. It's still based on the state, and the state can never tell you the truth under those causes. That's why in this age, the churches will fall. I am not interpreting. I'm telling you in prophecy what's going to happen. Because everything that's false must be revealed. You're going to learn everything that ever happened on this planet, like it or not. Some of which you wish you never had heard. But you will have to know so you can make a decision individually, not collectively. You'll have to know everything. It's going to be brought in the paper. It's going to be brought in the movies. It's going to be brought on TV. It's going to be on MySpace, my face, and his place. All of that. You will know. Now, can you handle what you said you wanted to know? That's an entirely different thing. Giving up old habits is bad. And it's much easier to go get high and get drunk and get sober and then wish I did that when I was drunk, so don't accuse me for it. My name is Sasha Fierce. I didn't do that otherwise. I'm strawberry. Today I'll be vanilla. Are you getting the picture? Yes. Am I making it clear? Yes. Thank you very much. To move on to the last part, I'll give my demonstration and be Q&A, and I know you'd be happy to go home and leave Blair alone. The earth now is trying to ascend. The date given, December 21st, 2010, 12, is all arbitrary because thanks to Pope Gregory and Emperor Julian, our whole chronology is off. We don't know what day it is in the United States. Our astrology is all off. Everything's all off because we go on something that doesn't exist. Lost 45 days in year 46 BC, the year of confusion. If you were born in January and February in the 16th century, you didn't exist because they didn't know in January. Until Julius Caesar made up January. Well, I don't lie. You thought I was lying? No, I don't lie. You might not believe what I'm saying, but that doesn't mean I'm lying. It means you don't believe what I'm saying. It's just that simple. Julius Caesar in February. The February is consul, and January. If you were born then, you didn't exist because months they had all 30 days. It was 10 months and it was all even. Then they came and messed up all this stuff because he wanted to have a date out of him because he was so great. I'm Julius Caesar. I'm Pope Gregory. Bastions of egotism, and idiots. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. Any rate, once this is done, now you have a calendar that doesn't fit anybody else's calendar. The Chinese tell you, you don't even know what day it is. And you don't. It could be 2000, tomorrow might be D-Day. If you haven't got straight, you better watch it. Sometimes I tickle me. When they start working to me, it's good because I get bored, man, I get on the road. It simply means that our earth is going to ascension. Things are changing on the planet. Those soulless ones that live inside the earth have got to live. It's just like in Star Wars. Where they come from, these Dracons and Reptoids, they are soulless and they do not forgive. If they fail, they better not come back to their home planets. So if they can't stay on the earth because the earth is ascending, they can no longer live off you because you're going to wake up and ask for help, then what are they going to do? Die? A rat in the corner. They're going to throw everything at you they can and then some more because now all you're going to do is die and be born again because you have a soul and go through another experience. When they go, they're gone. Guess who's going to fight the hardest? And they're fighting you with everything they can think of, and they already control the world government, so don't look for government help because it's not there. They're controlled. That's why the top of the government is always hidden. Think about it. Black projects, dark matter, what they call these other things, water, these black water guys, these mercenaries and stuff. Every time you go out the, why do you think they will pay $100 for a hammer? Or a package of screws costs you $20 because they're screwing you. The simple thing is, again, that they are using black budgets to get money, to get ships to get off the earth, to hide deeper underneath the earth, to do everything they can to keep you confused and full of shots. That's why the pharmaceuticals are shooting you up so much, because it's just like a bullet. Only worse than that, they take your mind and your soul. So now you're worse than a zombie. Making zombies of you, and you're paying for it. Sitting in the wars to fight that you don't even know why you're fighting, and telling you don't even stop and think, go, 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 kill, 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 and bring yourself run back one more time. So the very person you killed, you're going to come back as the next time to get it right. And then you think wars are worth something? Never was a good war, somebody said. Are you getting the picture? Can you wake up? Everything you need is within you. Why you gotta pay everybody else to get what's in you so they can find out what's in you and find out how to better get to it again to get some more money to keep you on earth? What do you say? You did hear that? Are you digesting that? So at this time on our planet, there's supposed to be two objects approaching our earth. Got the scientists scared to death. One of which we get to the cross is called Nibiru, or Neperu, or Nibiru. Okay? One of them is coming from the southern latitudes, if you would. Nibiru is your saving grace if you're right. It's the worst beast you can think of if you're wrong. Nibiru is a hollowed-out asteroid made by people in the Space Confederation, containing at least 15 different kind of races, maybe a billion of them, because I don't know, it seems to be a lot of them out there, and they inhabit this vehicle that can get in orbit around a system or can jump system and go wherever they want. It is a police force for this galaxy. And all the best trained ones are on it. They got fish people on it, they got gill people on it, they got flying people on it, they got wing people on it, they got bug people on it. If it's intelligent, it's on it. They have one thing in common. They have souls experiencing it, and wherever they go, they got something for you. If you're fish, they got something for you. If you're foul, well, some of you are foul anyway. If you're foul, they got something for you. If you're a Nirvanian, if you're from, what did they call this one? Paramore, whatever, Paradox, or whatever the movie was. Whatever it was, they got a life form that can come to you, but the one thing they have in common, they have souls and they're high in vibration. And they're coming around to get things in order. They come around every so often. That's why they're feared. You have nothing to fear if you're right. You got everything to fear if you're wrong, because now they're going to take you where soulless people are, and nobody wants to be amongst them. That's why they left in the first place. Now you get exactly what you deserve. It's Judgment Day. But each day you are judging yourself, and you're getting plenty of warnings that war in space is going on. Everything is waking people up, because Judgment Day is close by. But better than that, the earth is also judging herself. The earth is a female incarnation, and she's been granted the right to stop teaching kindergartners and laggards and dropouts. She now can become an institution of higher learning on the fifth heaven, and that's what she deserved, and that's where she's going. So you might be born again and have heaven on earth. Now, yeah, I'll just because the earth is becoming a vibration of the third dimension, which means you can still be alive and go to heaven. Now you understand what they were trying to tell you in the book of Revelation, which was not written by St. John the Revelator. It was written by Apollonius of Tyana, a black man, on the island of Patmos in the Mediterranean trance. That's another thing they had to create. That's why they talk about the Palatine Apollo and don't talk about Apollo at all, because that was the man who really wrote the book of Revelation, which holds the whole book together. They took out 196 other ones. And as you begin to come into this consciousness, you're being driven to stop eating so much if it's bad. You're driven to get exercising. It says, use your mind. It says, go within first before you chastise others. Why do you think they're doing all this stupidity about Tiger in the Woods, about the Blythe Spirit, and about all these other things? Now, ladies, you're not going to like this one. Men, you might not like it either. All other races on earth have as many women as they want, because there are more women on the earth than men, because men kill themselves off in wars, and the women are the only thing to populate again. And this is why lesbianism, we're not even going to go there, and all is taking place again, because they see the lack of men and man, and what they're doing now is to use that against you. Why do you kill a man for having multiple women if he didn't rape them? Why do you honor a man who sends his sons and daughters off to war, killing everybody, and they don't get any jail time? What that I don't understand. What is it I just misused here? Here a man has women who say they want him, in most cases, and he gets jail time and criminalized. Here's a guy that goes off and kills you, sends your sons and daughters to war, cutting, disemboweled, raping, and killing there. They get no time. They're justified because they're fighting in the name of the Lord for their country. Huh? Where am I? I do want to question it because I want somebody to end this confusion on my part. I can't understand that. The man didn't rape the women. He either paid them well or they wanted him because of what he was. And he gets jail time and he goes, I'm so sorry, I had all these women. My wife is hating me. Yes, he had a wife. But how many Muslim men have wives and 13 women and they're laughing at you and you going to war with them? Huh? Oh, you didn't like that one. Let's go on the other end. The women that have women lovers. Now, that's great. If that soul is in that woman from another incarnation, because now you have to believe in reincarnation to get the real justification for that one. But understand, anytime there's homosexual acts, you cannot reproduce your kind through sperm and egg. Your life force in that race will die out. Or you get injected from somebody else's sperm, and some of them might be Dracon sperm, because they do have it. So really understand when you make those choices what you're really saying. Think the whole thing through before you jump on one chip or the other. The good chip lollipop sometimes ain't sweet. You know about those suckers and suckies?
Dr. Blair, change the tape. Dr. Blair, change the tape.
An ionic. Demonstration means to demonstrate or to let the circle of demons on a certain strata release. That's why it's like proof. Because you demonstrate on the physical plane, you think it's real. When you demonstrate in your mind, you're not sure. So we give physical demonstration so the demons and demonstration can come about. But let me then kind of put this down so I give you everything I offered to give you and why you came to see. I'll do that one demonstration with you again. In fact, some of you can be, well, I won't even do that now. Where was I? We were talking again about how these things were cut short, how things were really in you, and why again the planet is going through what it's going through again like this one, and to start thinking internally rather than externally about what's really happening again and again. The world governments are all collapsing. They want a new world order because this planet is about to escape the grasp of the demons, the reptoids, and these serpent people. They're calling in the chips. There is no one world government because you don't even have a government. It's not of, for, or by the people. It is simply those that were selected and you think you were elected, and you really don't even do that, even though you vote. And now they are about to pull in the chips. All those who gave their souls now are having to pay off. You're going to hear about many deaths, many scandals. They're now holding blackmail over them. It will either go conform or we're going to release this on you. Everybody they put in office, they got something on there, or else we wouldn't put them in office. If they can't control you, they will put you there. You don't put $282 million around a man that you don't think you can pull in the chips on. They're not fools. They may be evil, but they're not fools. So you have nobody that can represent you until you have self-representation by thoughts. Concentrated thoughts is your only weapon, and it's the best weapon in the cosmos because you're in somebody's thought. When you unite that thought, as the people there did in that movie, Avatar, all the kingdoms of heaven came together, from the insects to the flying ones. They all came together because they knew that they were, even though they had problems with themselves, they knew a bigger problem was about to take over that planet on that dimension. And they said, now we give up the ghost. We got to drive these Saracens out. We got to drive these evil people out. And that's what the movie was about. The animal kingdom, the insect kingdom, all are attacking these soulless ones. On the space platform, they had ant that secreted acid eating up the space platform, the International Space. That's why they keep going up there again. Who ever heard of acid-eating, metal-eating ants? And how did they get in outer space? All these things that are happening now is because the nature of the beast and the man are all changing now. And the truth is coming out. The planet is fighting back. The only reason the planet has not gotten rid of all of them is trying to save your physical bodies because in your mind you say you want it. They're giving you a chance to try to survive it, to raise your vibrational rates so you can go to areas on the earth that have higher vibrations. If a beam ship came along right now, it would not land on earth, it would put a beam down on you. And if you had a lot of meat and a lot of poisons and a lot of acids and a lot of, what do they call this thing? Smoke, bad stick, caffeine, nicotine, all the rest of the stuff, it would disintegrate you if they tried to beam you up, and they're not going to land. The bad guys will land, the other ones can't. They got to beam you up. You can't even be beamed on board, Scotty. All right, Susan. You can't, because your vibrations do. It would kill you to put a tractor beam on you. And if you went to the areas of Earth that can survive this, they're already into the fourth dimension. You couldn't even exist there for a length of time. That's why you're not invited to those places, because you have to change your vibrations in order to get an invitation. Because right now, it would kill you. And most of you say, I don't want to die. Well, then if you don't want to die, you got to be born again in the mind. You can't have it both ways. You got to have one or the other. That's why you all are seeing shadow people. You're already into the fourth dimension. You're already psychic because your melanin's working. But they never explain to you what you were seeing. All the drugs they give you, 7,000 in Merck's Index, no, 7,000 in the United States Dispensary of Pharmaceutical Medicine, 6,500 in Merck's. All these drugs are all bad for you because they're all synthetic. They all act like something that your pineal gland and pituitary gland are supposed to make. So while they're reinforcing them, you live. When they wear it out and your pineal gland calcifies, you die, because now you're dependent on that. Look how long you stay alive on that. Not long. Because they don't have the right vibration, because they're all synthetic. They're drugs acting like the real thing, like the herbals and the hormones and all that. So I'm going to summate it with this one entirely, and this is really for me on this one. This time, like all times, is a good time if we but know what to do with it. I think somebody said that. There's no such thing as tomorrow. There's no such thing as yesterday. It's now what you're going to do. Because what you do today or don't do becomes the tomorrow that you didn't have. And now you have it, and it's still not complete. Because whatever you keep putting time off for, time is speeding up. So whatever you didn't do is coming faster for you to do if you can wake up to it and do it. Huh? We'll do the demonstration after I close the lecture itself, because on the demonstration, if you want to photograph it, fine. If not, I want to give you what I usually mail out when you make an order, or if you ask for it, we'll give it to you again when we have it, when you make an order, whatever it is. It's called the Universal Prayer. I have it framed and all like this because it's real simple. It takes you all 35 seconds to say it. Some people talk fast. You might do it in 3. I don't know. Please, Universal Creator, know in my heart that I love you. Please protect me and this planet on which I live now. Please open my mind, my spirit, and my soul to receive only truth and your love now. Say it 3 times a day. Say it every hour. Say it once a week. But say it and believe it. Because now it means that you're going to do something in concentrated thought, and whatever millions and billions of people do in concentrated thought on this plane with the new magnetic energy, it will come about. Because that is the biggest weapon and self-defense you have, because thoughts are things. You can think a person away, you can think a person right into your bedroom. You can think money away, you can make money all around you. Get on the vibrational rate of whatever it is you want, and it will draw to you. And as a soul, you have the choice. The choice was to come here or not tonight. The choice to Brother Simon, and as I say to the Brother Bowie out there, and Rashid if you're here, and all the rest of you out there, and even if you're not here, you were called because you heard something that make you want to seek truth. I tried to give it to you. Hope the Universal Creator will lead us all to it. And I thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Blair held up my book earlier today, and I want to compliment him because my book is centered around 70% of what he said, and it relates to relationships. Guess what, brothers? We are losing our women, and in order to get them back, and at the same time raise the frequency so that we can succeed in what Dr. Blair is trying to tell us, there's one step that men and women can take in order to solve the problem. And if you can't take this one step, you won't even be into the room where your challenges are. And the first step that men must take is to keep their word when they give it. That one step will allow you to find other answers so that you and your woman can become whole. Because if you can't become whole with your women, then you're not going to be able to raise your frequency or your vibration. And there's one step that women can take to balance that out. Women have to stop being concerned about how a man feels about them. Feelings are elusive. You can't even discuss feelings intelligently, because the minute somebody frowns or smiles, your feelings changes. But you can determine how you want to be treated, and you can discuss that with your man. So, I'm not going to say any more, but for those of you who have seen the Children's Health Food book, that's the only book that Dr. Sebi holds up in his lectures. Well, the problem with women is on the same level. Peace and blessings.
I gave Brother Seaborn and Mike again because when I first was coming out here again, I used to stay with him there. He never charged me. Again, his brother's going through a lot, so I gave it over to him because of respect and deference to him, and I think his book is good then too. Okay, I want to give this demonstration of energy. This is just a minor one with energy field, so I want to do two things at once. I want somebody that will come up with a cell phone that has somebody else in the audience that can call them. So if you want to come on stage, or if they're already on stage, if you want to put a chair up here, it doesn't even matter. I want a 4-minute conversation held by somebody in the audience with somebody else on the cell phone. Okay? That's the first thing I want. The other one I'll be demonstrating with I'll use 2 men and 2 women separately. We'll have, let's see, not much space up here.
1, 2.
Maybe, let's see, well, I guess I have to come down there. Maybe we can do it, let's see.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Let's start, first of all. Let me get the 2 people that are going to make the call. You'll make calls or what? You're going to be one? Yeah. Okay. You're going to call Simon?
You're going to call me? Oh, see, I got other people calling me right now.
No, you don't do that. No, don't use Simon.
Yeah, he can call me. Call this Simon. But you want, no, where's your wife, brother? Call and talk to your wife. Cause we ain't got 4 minutes of conversation right now.
He might say Simon was just a huge witness. Let's get somebody from the audience. Just somebody that has the audience. Okay? Somebody that can come up and get a cell phone call here while you listen to me. Okay? Now, when you get the 2 people, let me know. And we got the 2 people. All right, you're going to call who now?
1, 2.
Huh?
1, 2.
Right here. Right there. All right, and what I would do is simply this. Okay, you're going to be...
You need me to come up?
You want me to call her? She's for me. She's going to call you, but what first I want to do is put your cell phone down. Don't call you, no, I want you to come out here with you. Okay, I'm going to hold this in my mic, and I want to do this because it's another... Take it over. Huh? Doesn't matter. Yeah, doesn't matter. Okay.
All right, it's a demonstration. Come on.
Yeah. I want you to hold your hand out like this. Now I'm going to push down on your hand. I want you to resist me, and remember how hard I'm pushing it. So we'll be ready. All right. Don't let me push you down. Fight me. Okay. Can you feel how hard I'm pushing? Yes. Wait a minute. Read again. All right. You can wait that phone call now if you want. All right. I want him to call you, and then after somebody keep a time. Who's got a good watch? Got a timer? All right. Let me know when he finally says hello and they start the conversation. Hold it up to your ear like you normally would.
Tell me to stop when you're ready to stop. I got your voicemail. Like I should put it over there. Let me know.
Are you calling me or calling you?
I'm calling you.
He's supposed to be calling you, or either way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Are you ready? No service.
Okay? All right, you start talking. Now you time. You got time? All right. Now, while that's going on, I want to get one man. We'll come up one at a time because there's not enough space up there again. And here you can't see it, get so many people. I want somebody to volunteer, either, in fact, the strongest, most awesome dude and the strongest, most awesome woman. I want to come up here again. They will come up here.
One strong man and one strong woman to come up here right now. He want to conduct this test with y'all in this demonstration. She must be a strong woman. Martial artist. Any brothers that's come on now. There's a big brother there. Come on, big brother. Hey, they're about 200 pounds, right, brother? They're about 250. I look at this. He's a Muay Thai fighter. You gotta watch him. I know.
The phone is ringing.
All right.
Answer it.
Boy, there's a lot of people here.
Go straight to voicemail. Sean, I'm going to call you.
You do it right there? Okay.
Okay. tell me when you're ready to.
Okay, hold on.
What I want you to do, hold up your hand. Now, hold it this way. Look forward. Now, don't let me push it down. Remember how much strength I'm trying to use, okay? You ready? Yeah. Oh, you ready? All right. Relax. Do nothing. Okay. All right. You can relax now. Now, as he's making the phone call, we can make this phone call very quickly. I can't really get the right position for this. Let me try over here. Tim, you're going to have to face this way. Yeah, sorry about that. Tim, okay, you ready now? All right, let's try it again. This is the one again. This is the same hand you had before? All right. Same thing. You feel how hard I'm pushing. Relax now. Ready? Hold it up. Ready? Oh, still not building. Ready? Once more, you're strong, but hold on. Try it once more. You're strong, brother. Not working on you. Hold it on. I want you to think about something.
He drinking water? He drinking alkaline water?
I want you to hold it back in.
Hold on.
Very sensitive. Very sensitive. Let me know when you're confident. The much of me is very sensitive. Ready? You're sad. Concentrate on it.
It's making me stronger. It's not making me mad.
No, I see.
I'm sad, but
Not mad, it's sad. Yeah, whatever it was, you gotta think about it. Whatever it means, you said. There you go. All right, let's try to get pretty comfortable. Now, think about something that you feel good. I know what's going to happen. All right? Ready? You just have it. Oh, you still think about the sadness one. Go back to feeling good again. Make you feel real good, very happy about it. See the difference yourself? Yeah. And thoughts are things. That's nothing to bring. You're strong dude, man. What I had to do, I had to go with his mind. When you get that strong, you have to go with the mind and the spirit. So I just had to think about something that made him sad. That was it. Think about something that made him strong or feel good. That was it again. Thoughts are things. They affect you more than any physical. But you're the first brother that had worked on out. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, forgot about that. Thank you very much again. Now I got it. Oh, how's that? Your timings?
what we got?
Is that a minute and a half. Now? Yeah. Okay, same thing again. All right. Keep it good with me.
Okay, wait. You said wait.
No.
We got a minute.
Oh,
Have they been talking? Have they been talking?
We talked about the same. I couldn't get through the other.
Oh, you couldn't get through.
I'm talking to her. We got
Okay, where's the sister? I had it.
we talking. Right.
Same old thing, you know, what this is. I can't get to you, so walk me for a second. No, this face me. Now, you put whatever, which is your song? All right, huh? Same thing again. Right? Well, let me push it down. Think about that. Okay? Feel hard I'm pushing? All right, same thing. You put it down. Put it out. Ready? Okay. All right, put it up again now. Ready? Hold on. Relax. No, let's relax. All right, so hold it out again. Ready? Get it out again. Ready? Ready? Hold on. Ready? Let me be sure. Same thing again, working with energy fields. It's not muscles or anything, it's the energy field, the nerves that surround the muscle. Brother's the only one I haven't seen that work. Okay. Now, I know it's got to be 4 minutes. Just hold it out. You ready? Hold it out again, fight me. Hold it straight. Ready? Ready?
Oh, man. And I work out. I'm not
Hold it up again.
brother, with that.
You ready? Ready?
No, I ain't going out like that.
You're going to bring your whole muscles trying to fight me. Okay. Hold on. I wish it could have.
Good.
Okay. Let's restart. That thing is dangerous. Now, I want to show you something.
Turn it off.
Hold on a second.
You put the dials on it? Watch this.
It's the same one I'm showing you. Okay? Hold it up there now. Ready? Release. Ready?
Let's get one right now.
Right now. Try it again. Hold it.
You ready?
Yes, sir. You can't move me with that.
Release it.
Ready?
Oh, shit. That's crazy.
I can hear you, huh?
That's crazy.
Give him a round of applause for that. Give him a round of applause. That dial. Watch the dial. I think you better buy one.
I
Stop
need
playing. I thought you had one already. All right. Here, Doc.
Thank you. Yeah, the brother was up here. I don't know what he did. I want to do it. Because whatever he did before, that was the first time I've seen that actually done. He drank the water and everything else. Like I've had wrestlers and sumo wrestlers. There's something else I can do too. I won't do that one. You can take anybody down if you're doing that. The whole point is, we are not physical. We are souls in a body that is physical. The unseen always controls the seen. The unseen always controls the seen. They teach you, if you can't see it, hold it, so it doesn't exist. That is, the mind doesn't exist, but the mind can always control the body or anything else in it again. This is why your thoughts are things. Watch what you say, but more than that, watch what you think, because in order to say it, you have to think it first. And if you're thinking about evil things, inside you is always evil. If you're thinking about things that can't happen that are bad, or things that will happen to bad, you're drawing them to you. Thoughts are things. Our planet is going to the theta world of the universe of the fifth dimension, where thoughts are things. You can now think away enemies. You can now, as they did there when they found out on that planet, the Avatar, see, there's another thing behind it. And it was a white man that made the movie. Yes, there was a lot of racial things in there because he had to make it clear enough so everybody can see what's happening. Thoughts are things. The animals will fight. You're going to fight now. Prophesy. You heard it today. You're going to hear it now. Earthquakes and tornadoes, you're just beginning. Ocean quakes are things that are just beginning. Sicknesses by which they have hemorrhagic fever and Ebola and all, they're in these shots. If you took them, get rid of them very quickly, because not only did you get a chip, in most cases, you now have these things that when these vibrations go up, your body's going to not be in correspondence and you're going to get diseased. Get rid of all those daggone pharmaceutical drugs. Yes, I'm saying it. And always remember that there's an herbal, if you can grow it naturally, that could do anything better than a pharmaceutical drug could ever do. But you've got to have the faith again in the mind of the Creator, that the Creator didn't make dummies and didn't make a dumb planet, and as souls you're not dumb either. You're lost. There's a big difference between lost and dumb. We've been following wrong teachers for a long time and a wrong science for a long time. The planet is outgrowing it. Don't outgrow the planet. It's still a time for ascension. It's still a time. And anytime you want to know something, if you really want to know it, fast for a little bit, at least one day. Try to get on raw foods and things on this line, juices and all for that day. And don't eat for just 3 or 4 hours before you go to bed. If you can get hold of any of our monatomic gold, I know it's going to work. Even without it, it may work. When you go to bed at that night, put a pencil and paper by your bed, and instead of acting like you have a car that's really rich and in a poor neighborhood, in other words, if you go to sleep at night without directing your thoughts, it's like taking a Maserati or a Fiat or something like that, putting it in the worst neighborhood, putting yours neighborhood, whatever you want to, leaving the keys in the car and walking away. Because that's what you're doing when you don't direct through prayer. That's what prayer is supposed to be about. To guide your soul to go to the higher heavens and not through these lower heavens, lower hells, to learn your real purpose. Anything you want to know, you'll find out in 3 days' time. You accidentally hear a conversation. You go to the TV set or the radio and accidentally hear a show. You go to a bookstore and a page will fall out, the book will fall right to the right page. You just supposed to turn on TV just to hear it, because you're now in the flow of consciousness, and it's always there. It's just that you don't get. Then you say it was an accident. It's not an accident. Have the faith of consciousness, which all of you say you do anyway, but use it on yourself first. Then get with people who vibrate like you, so they're not always doubting you and making you get weak in your thought. They will heighten your thought. That's what church is really all about. You go around people that think like you think, but the only trouble is you can do the same thing on your own, because sometimes you can't travel to a church, especially in an earthquake and stuff, but you can travel mentally wherever you want. You can meet with anybody on this planet, on distant planets, if you can think the thought. Thoughts are not limited by space. Now you can become in conjunction with a lot of thoughts out there in the universe and cosmos that are high, that are praying for you, that want you here. Wake up to